The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Scott Norton, and you're listening to Keepin It Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll be doing some fancy booking, answering your questions, and covering all the latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can support our show by subscribing to the Social Suplex Podcast Network or to Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts and columns over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tee store, prowrestlingtees.com/Social Suplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. This week's episode is brought to you by NJPW EXT, the only browser extension for NJPWworld.com with features like dark mode, improved translations and layouts, custom and shared playlists, synchronized viewing parties, and much more. It takes NJPW World to the next level. Visit njpwext.us today for details.
Listen, guys, if you're not using that NJPW extension, I don't know what to tell you, because that literally does take New Japan World to the next level, just like Jeremy just said. And I use it all the time. I find it to be so helpful in so many different ways. I mean, the translations are better. The layout is better. The added features. Like, I don't know why New Japan's not paying this man Danny. That's what I'm wondering.
Seriously, yeah, they should get Danny on the payroll, man. Get him fully integrated into New Japan World.
They need to CTC.
Cut the check.
Yeah, man. No, for real though, the work he does is awesome. We're so happy to be partnered with him, and you can find our show, amongst all the different listening methods and ways. We're featured there prominently every single week. So really happy with this partnership, and I love the extension, especially now and I think I mentioned it last week, just like being quarantined, I think we got some plans here in the near future to be doing possibly like a viewing party, something like that. And, the shared playlists and viewing parties, things like those features make it possible when you have the extension. If you don't have the extension, you can't do that crap.
Exactly, yeah. And so, you guys have been giving us tons of suggestions and ideas, and a lot of people have been suggesting like watch-alongs and watch parties. So we hear your idea, guys. We're trying to, collect all the ideas and just trying to do what we can do reasonably during this time. I know you guys want a lot of like retro and history stuff, so we're taking all that under consideration and kind of planning out our shows as, we need stuff to talk about with New Japan not being active right now. So thank you all for the suggestions.
Well, thank you for the suggestions. One person I don't want to thank, one person I want to chastise right now is our very own Jeremy Donovan. Because, Jeremy, I bought you a history book earlier this year for Christmas, and I believe you have still, as of yet, to read the book. And, now, lo and behold, New Japan is sidelined, and I could really have used your help with some of these history questions, but you're not reading.
I'm slacking, man. I got to do some Hindu squats. Well, now I guess it's the perfect time to, crack open the book,
Now's the perfect time to do the Hindu squats, too. Get your COVID-19 body ready.
Seriously, yeah, because right now it's just been, hibernation style, just been eating, not much working out.
Yeah, man. And I don't know what we're going to do. Gyms are all shut down. It's crazy.
Yeah. And for today's show, so we got a suggestion from the host of All Things Elite right here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network, Floyd Johnson Jr., and he kind of challenged us, threw it out there. He wanted us to come up with a fantasy AEW versus NJPW card. So that's what we're going to do a little bit later on the show. Each young boy and I have our own cards, and then Floyd and his team, they will come up with their own cards, and then we're going to throw it out to voting to see who has the best card.
And for those of you that are listening and thinking to yourselves, oh my God, I don't want to listen to a show about AEW, stick around. We've got the news. We've got, listeners' questions and plenty of New Japan-centered discussion. And trust me, I haven't looked at Jeremy's card. He hasn't heard my card yet, but I have a strong feeling that these are going to be some pro-centric cards. So I am looking forward to this. I just wish AEW had a better roster, more talent, so that I could have a better card. But, AEW be slacking out there.
I will say the hardest thing about putting these cards together was AEW has a very strong tag team division. Their roster is tag team heavy, and then you look at New Japan's roster, it's singles heavy. And so
that's true, but it's not even just that. Like, both companies have a strong focus on factions and groups, but the majority of the groups in AEW, as you started to mention, were like tag teams and very strong emphasis on trios. Like, there's about 3 major big factions, but they're, 2 of them are filled with stars. So once you start compiling like a show that has those stars, you're going to have to break. You don't want to do, say, Bullet Club versus the Elite and just throw away all the top stars. Then you don't have a show to do. You know what I mean? So
right.
it is difficult. I was thinking at first, I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. I'll throw like a death triangle, and then you start thinking about it. You're like, oh, well, the groups that New Japan has are like 5, 6, 7, 8 members. Then the groups they have they're like 2, 3 members, something like that. So it's kind of different.
Yeah. So we'll get to that in a second. We're going to start off with the news and then jump into questions, and then the fantasy booking will be our main event of the evening. So first thing in the news, just released, yesterday that Secure Genesis and the Road to Wrestling Dontaku on April 11th are canceled, obviously due to
sideline.
Yes, sideline, obviously due to COVID-19, the coronavirus. So, a lot of us were kind of holding out hope there, especially with a lot of other Japan shows starting to run and have fans that possibly there would be Secure Genesis, and we would kind of start to get some New Japan back again. But it seems like New Japan kind of doing the wise thing here and just kind of holding off and putting the health of their performers and the fans first and holding off here.
The real question here is, with no actual New Japan matches taking place in the month of March, I think by default we have to go to matches that happen outside of New Japan that involve New Japan contracted talent. The only one I can think of is this our match of the month? Is Will Ospreay versus B. Priestley the March match of the month for Keeping It Strong Style?
Wow, it might have to be, unless we count the Kota Ibushi Tanahashi arm wrestling match that happened on NJPW together.
I actually did get to watch I watched the Okada documentary. I don't have enough time to watch there, man. You know what? For a company that is not actively putting on any shows right now, they're putting a lot of content out there.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, I like that documentary a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was really, really, really good. I thought, that was a great recommend on your half, just tell me to watch that. And I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, so, speaking of that content and NJPW together, they're going to be putting out a lot more content, obviously, now with Secure Genesis and the beginning of Road to Wrestling Dontaku being canceled. So there will be a lot more stuff coming. There's going to be an evening with Kazuchika Okada and Tiger Hattori. And so it's going to be like Okada kind of interviewing Tiger Hattori, and then there's going to be a Encyclopedia New Japanica exploring some of the NJPW's greatest moments. And there's also,
I love that.
Yeah, so that should be fun, and that should scratch the itch of a lot of people who want some history content there.
That's something I've always sort of wished they would do more of, is sort of like highlight some of the historical content that they have and kind of just put things a little bit more in perspective. They've been doing a good job with some of that over the past, decade, I suppose. Like, some of the stuff that Kevin Kelly's put out with like the recount and the wire, they've covered stuff that's occurred in the last decade and a half. But I mean, you go back to like the 90s and the 80s and it's very lacking. And it's like, the average New Japan fan doesn't know, if they know the names, they haven't seen a lot of content or have a lot of understanding of like Inoki, Choshu, Fujinami, guys like that, even original Tiger Mask. So like I'm hoping that they do more to kind of like highlight the historical stuff there, because I mean, you look at WWE and they're very good at controlling the narrative of their own history. You know what I mean?
Right.
You would almost think that WWE started and ends and begins with Hulk Hogan and WrestleMania and him beating there's nothing before him. Like Hogan beating the Iron Sheik is like the birth of Christ. Like,
wow.
there's nothing before that, basically, in the eyes of Vince McMahon. It was all just mud shows and smoky buildings and all that. And it wasn't sports entertainment, but like, WWE existed, since like the 50s, basically.
Didn't you know that Hogan had his first match in WWE?
Yeah, apparently. Vince McMahon created Hulkamania, and the two of them, they revolutionized wrestling.
Right.
Never mind he was in New Japan. Never mind he was in AWA. But that like New Japan has kind of over the past I would say like decade, they kind of like allude to their past, but it's really like we were in the dark days. Tanahashi saved us, and there was nothing before that. And it's sort of like, no, there was a lot before that. It was awesome. Like,
yeah,
so I hope that they start to kind of emphasize some of that earlier stuff as well, just because they had one of the best. They've always had one of the best wrestling products at any given time. Even the Dark Days stuff is better than people remember. A lot of in a lot of cases.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely down. I hope they have a lot of great stuff going further back than they normally do. So that should be fun to check out. Then also in the beginning of April, there will be behind the scenes of Hiromu Takahashi's return to the ring and IWGP Championship glory with a special Get Sports documentary.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about last week, like Hiromu would be a great person to do a documentary on.
Yeah, and is that when I say it's awesome, like I'll tell you if I think that sounds kind of crappy, like some of the content they put out, it might be good, it might be bad, but it hasn't really been gripping to me. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's great if it's not great, but like, what a story, the story of Hiromu, like, and him returning and we didn't hear from him for over a year and a half. I bet you that content, like, is probably very emotional, very gripping. I'm hoping so anyways. They've got a great production team with their documentary. I love wrestling documentaries. Like, I just do. So I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. And then also there will be some of the NJPW's best wrestlers from around the world reflecting on their favorite career moments, biggest entrance, and most impactful finishes. So, do
you have a favorite entrance of all time in New Japan?
I mean, the first one that comes to my mind is Nakamura. When
I think for everybody it's Nakamura.
Yeah, with the King and Michael Jackson, get up in the King's crown. Yeah,
that one's great. The other one that comes to mind is also Nakamura when he wrestled Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom and he came out with all the strippers on the poles.
Yeah,
that moment is freaking incredible. Yeah, there's New Japan obviously does a lot of shows in like Cork and Hall, stuff like that. So not every event gets to have like major entrances, but there are some shows that like when they do their King of Pro Wrestling's G1 final, stuff like that will like blow you away. I know Kenny's had some amazing entrances.
Mm-hmm. Dude, Okada's entrance this year.
Okada's entrance his entrance this year probably was the best, but I loved his entrance last year when the Rainmaker returned.
Yeah.
Oh my God, like I freaking popped. And some of Kenny's entrances, some of Tanahashi's entrances. Goto when he came out with all the paint on when he came out to get jobbed to Okada. The entrance was incredible. So I mean, there's been quite a few.
Yeah. So that's all the content that's coming up this month for the NJPW Together. So they'll all be up on NJPW World to check that out. Harold May did an interview with Sports Illustrated, talking about a lot of different things. And one of the main things he mentioned in there was the Madison Square Garden show. It's Wrestle Dynasty on August 22nd. And noted that the idea behind Wrestle Dynasty is to establish an annual event in Madison Square Garden, which would be like a second Wrestle Kingdom. So what do you think about that?
I think that is kind of asinine, to be honest with you. If you really think about it, it's like that's such a great goal, and I hope they can pull it off. But with the track record of their shoddy marketing and advertising campaigns here in WWE or here in WWE, here in America, I just don't see how they can actually accomplish really generating enough buzz or interest in the States to have a card of that level. You know what I mean?
Right.
They need to really focus on the things we've talked about in the past. They need TV, and they need better advertising and marketing if they're really going to create enough buzz and anticipation to have a major card here in the States that people see in the light of a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam or something of that nature, or even some of these bigger AEW cards. And, with the way the marketplace is, and we've already seen, even AEW, who's pretty successful given their circumstances, they've kind of gotten away from that like one day sellout sort of buzz to, having a loyal fan base. But I mean, the traveling market is kind of decimated at this point, over the past couple of years with the Mania weekends and the Jericho cruises, everything like that. So they have to bring something different. They have to capture the imaginations and the attention of the audience here in the West. And it's a crowded marketplace. I hope they do it. I want to see them do it, but you got to give us a card. You got to tell us what the card is way ahead of time. And that's hard to do. They don't like to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Cue Rich Latta. You got a card? Oh, man. But yeah, so I think overall the idea of wanting to have a big kind of flagship show in America, overall I think it's a great idea. And, this year they might get some help just with the fact of, due to the coronavirus, a lot of shows have had to be canceled. People are getting refunds or getting their money back. And if this show goes off on August 22nd and, we're clear to travel and, coronavirus is kind of under control, there's going to be a lot of people who have saved Mania weekend money, saved Double or Nothing money, save whatever money that they could use to go to this show, especially if they do kind of come out, ahead of time and say, here's the planned card for the show and kind of promote this thing. I think
absolutely.
I think they have a good chance of, filling up the Garden and putting on a great show. And then, hey, this is what you're going to get every August or whatever they do it. Cause G1's normally towards the end of August. So whenever they do this show every year, like, hey, we're going to have this every year at the Garden, put it, pencil in your calendar every year. Cause you already know, just kind of like what AEW is doing with their big four on the holiday weekends in the same locations. Like you already know it's going to be Memorial Day weekend. It's going to be Labor Day weekend. Get it, get a calendar, get it set. So I think trying to make a tradition out of it, it's a great idea. It's just like we've mentioned before, TV is going to be a big thing for future events. And I've heard that Harold May is aware of that, and he's desperately, I don't know if desperately, but he's definitely looking to get TV in America and understands the importance of having TV in America. So yeah, that and just, continue just the promotion of it here in the States and just making, wrestling fans in general. Obviously, there is a strong New Japan base here in the States that will travel. We've seen it over the years, but
right,
kind of tapping into that, maybe that quote unquote casual fan who's maybe heard of New Japan Wrestling, heard about the 5, 6, 7 stars, but has never really watched or been to a show. Those are the kind of fans that they need to bring in to, continue the growth of this company in America.
Well, absolutely, Jeremy. You said you brought some really great points, and I totally agree with you in the fact that uh, not that this isn't a good thing, what's happening with the COVID outbreak and everything like that, and we don't know how long it's going to last. God forbid it does somehow continue to affect New Japan come August time. I hope it doesn't. I hope things are open up by then, but will remain to be, that will remain to be seen. I can tell you at my job, we have a couple jobs that require people to come in. So we have a rotation schedule. You might have to go in like once every couple months. They got that schedule booked till like the end of July.
Wow.
on advice of corporate. So like I was thinking this work from home thing was going to be like a couple weeks, a little breeze. It's like, oh, this might be my new life.
Yeah, seriously.
But with that being the case, I mean, you're right. We have seen a traveling group that was willing to travel for New Japan shows, but let's not kid ourselves. The reality of the matter is, in the States, New Japan was much more successful when they were headlining shows involving the Elite. Once the Elite left, no, it did not hurt their business in Japan. In fact, they're doing better business without them just because, the strength of their booking and their star-making power. But in the West, it has not strengthened them. We were at that show in Dallas for the G1. And, yeah, they had a good turnout, but it wasn't a great turnout. And anyone who thinks that they didn't draw that Madison Square Garden card last year off the idea that people were anticipating the Elite being involved are kidding themselves. Now, you and I came on this show and we said we're like, the Elite are not going to be there. Right. We knew this up front because we were following, but I don't think everyone who planned to attend that show, given the fact that A, it was a historical show, B, it was on WrestleMania weekend, and it's in the Garden, I don't think everyone who attended that show had that same idea or concept. So moving forward, it has proven difficult for them to draw, living in a post-Elite world here in the States. And they are doing some really great things. They've got, momentum on their side with the idea that there hasn't been a lot of sporting events. People have saved some money this year. There might be an opportunity for them to do well. And, selling out the Garden, they've got some really great ticket prices. When you take a look at what ticket prices in the Garden usually are versus what New Japan is charging for Wrestle Dynasty, there's a good chance that they could sell it, especially if the card if they market it correctly, they promote the right card, they get enough fan interest. But it is going to come down to buzz, anticipation, marketing, and exposure for the regular fan base. The other thing with that too is like how they need to keep that momentum up. They might be able to do it one time. We saw them do it last year. People are questioning, can they do it a second time? And I think it is a much taller order to do it on their own the second time. And even if they do well this time, can they do it again next year? And my last question with all this is, how would that hypothetically affect New Japan's schedule going forward year after year? Are they going to do it in August every year? How's that going to affect the G1? How's that going to affect the schedule with New Japan Cup and Best Super Juniors? And we don't even know what's happening this year. I mean, Best Super Juniors is supposed to be coming up in a little over a month, and we're still not getting Sakura Genesis. I mean, scratch the New Japan Cup. Are we even getting Best Super Juniors at this point?
Right, yeah, that tour is supposed to start in, I believe, mid-May. And so, yeah, we don't even know. Yeah, Best Super Juniors might be scrapped. And so, I think this Wrestle Dynasty card...
think about that for a second. I mean, think about about half of the card for Super Juniors is usually rounded out by foreign talent. Think about all the travel logistics, Even if there is a travel ban lifted by that point, how rigid is it going to be? Is there going to be quarantines in place for people that travel from international? Like, is that even a wise or smart thing to do? Would they end up running, if they even could, are they going to run Super Juniors with just domestic talent? Can they even keep all the dates that they had booked in the first place without enough talent to fulfill it? You know what I mean?
Right.
Very interesting ideas.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough road these next couple months, dealing with coronavirus and stuff like that. And yeah, you mentioned the traveling. Will Ospreay is still in the UK right now. He's not a junior, but I mean, if they start running shows again, like how's he going to get into the country, and guys like that. So
Right.
a lot of challenges ahead of the road. As far as like the scheduling in the future, last year we had that big Royal Quest card that kind of came at the end of August, right after the G1. And so I think in the future, Wrestle Dynasty could be kind of a good spot for that.
I don't like that idea. Here's my only reason why is because the G1 is always this big thing that points to the future of Wrestle Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're going to have some real world repercussions from a major card like Wrestle Dynasty in August, right after the G1, there's no point in having it unless there will be. Because if it's just going to be, that show at the Copper Box was cool, but it didn't change anything from the time between G1 finals and Wrestle Kingdom time. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I don't think that if they're going to do a big show like that, you do a big show like that, you're doing title changes, you're doing surprises, you're doing big moments. You know what I mean? And you're talking about, like, we already have that with Dominion. Dominion's already that big show. So if they want to do a third big show in the West, I'm just wondering, when is the opportune time to do it? I don't know that right after the G1 even is. I just think right now, this year, they lucked out with the Olympics and everything of that nature. And I don't know what they do going forward.
Yeah. So a lot of questions there. Luckily we don't have to answer those. That's
if it was me, I would say maybe like every April,
Mania weekend.
You just replace Sakura Genesis. You do it Mania weekend. You just run the biggest arena you can, and you just run a big show and piggyback off WrestleMania. Maybe some people don't like that answer, but that seems logistically like the easiest way to accomplish their goal.
Right. That seems like it'd probably be the best way to go, and just knowing that you're going to have a city full of wrestling fans for the weekend. People are going to be traveling in there, and we know a lot of people come in town. They're not always there for WrestleMania. There's a lot.
You'd be surprised.
There's a lot of people that, last year when we were handing out flyers for Suplex Mania, our WrestleMania watch party that we had, there are several people that were like, we don't even plan on watching this thing. We're not going. Like, you just be surprised. Like, a lot of people do just come in town just for the indie shows, or maybe just TakeOver, and don't always go to the WrestleMania. So,
there is a huge crossover between people that attend the major indie shows and WrestleMania, of course, but there is actually a great divide between people that just go to WWE sponsored stuff and they don't even know about WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
Like, how many people do we walk? We ran into so many people on the streets that like didn't even know that there was a Mania weekend, quote unquote. They don't know about the Collective or, WrestleCon and WWN and all that. And then there's like this other group of people that just come in for those indie shows. They're just going to Effie's Big Gay Brunch, and they're just going to, deathmatch, ICW late night shows and spring breaks and stuff like that. And they're not going to go to WrestleMania or even watch it. And it's interesting.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how Wrestle Dynasty, if it happened, then just kind of what the game plan for that event is down the line.
I just think WrestleMania weekend makes sense to me. Again, not just because of the logistics, but because of the scheduling of, the same reason why it worked for G1 Supercard. It's right after the New Japan Cup. You don't have to do anything different. You know what I mean? All you have to do is just replace Sakura Genesis with it at that point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Otherwise, you're talking about a whole nightmare of, and it's not really a nightmare, but you're just talking about changing the format of their schedule that they've had for the past, 6, 7, 8 years. You're changing it entirely going forward, which they could do, but how much easier is it to go to a city like, WWE runs in, California next year. I'm sure there's a big venue that they can run that's in the area. I know they probably can't run Staples Center, but they can run something that's out there, and draw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes the most sense, as opposed to like trying to run the Garden, which is one of the most expensive arenas in the country. I don't know.
Yeah. If they can pull it off, I think it would be kind of a great, accomplishment for them. But yeah, Mania we can definitely see is like the easiest thing and the more logistical thing to do. So yeah, we'll see what happens here with this.
I also think that and this is the last point I want to make, there's some people that like will point to it and be like, oh, well, they're not actually drawing because they're piggybacking off of WWE, and that there's a reason AEW doesn't want to be seen to be doing that. But it's like, if I was New Japan, I'd just do it, because it's like, what other group is going out there and drawing 10,000 plus outside of NXT and WWE?
Right.
So I don't really see that as a loss or, a failure. It's like when you're making money and you're doing it. And also it's like on those weekends, your guys are getting paid to work multiple days. Like that just makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Yeah. Perfectly good points there. And I agree with you. I see both sides of the coin here. I can see.
I do too.
Wanting to, establish
your own thing,
Madison Square Garden, historical building. We've seen how the Japanese wrestlers love MSG, and just the history that comes with wrestling in there, and the Japanese wrestlers in the past that have wrestled there. The other side, all the points you made up, with WrestleMania weekend, just it's destination cities. You already have a bunch of wrestling fans there. Why not capitalize? There's no other promotion that's putting on that much. Ring of Honor is not going to do that without New Japan. Like, there's not any other promotion that's going to get that many people in a building besides New Japan. So,
well, we got some more news, so let's roll through that real quick.
Yeah. So next up, Bushiroad, they just recently released their quarterly report covering November through January. New Japan was not listed separately like it usually is. It was under the category of Bushiroad Sports of Business, which includes New Japan, Stardom, and the kickboxing promotion. The revenue from sports was $17 million for the quarter, which is up 33% from last year. It said the increase was due to running 2 events at the Tokyo Dome, selling 70,071 tickets, as well as increased revenue from the New Japan mobile game. From August to October, the revenue was $13 million from the 3 companies. So
wow,
definitely a nice little increase there.
Huge increase without Kenny. Shout out to Rich.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
Seems like Naito might be a draw or something. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait for the response on that.
Hold on. I just want to say, I just gotta. Oh, never mind. Okay, keep going.
All right. There's a 2-part Kota Ibushi interview that's up on NJPW1972.com. A lot of interesting comments there about Naito and just the whole tag team scene and wanting to be a tag team wrestler. So a lot of interesting stuff there in that interview. Speaking of interviews, Kevin Kelly and Gino are on the NJPW English podcast this week, so check that out. The Monday free match is Kazuchika Okada versus Hiroshi Tanahashi from Invasion Attack 2013.
That's an incredible match.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people saying this is probably the best match in the series. So if you haven't seen that match, it's up for free now on YouTube or NJPW World. Speaking of YouTube, Hiromu Takahashi.
So real quick. So my girlfriend, I'm in the other room recording this right now. She just texted me. She goes, "What is a boneyard match?" And then she said, "Correction. What is a buried alive match?" And I was like, "You win by burying your opponent alive." She goes, "They're doing it at Mania."
Oh my gosh.
I don't know who, but someone's getting buried alive at Mania.
I'm guessing Taker and AJ.
Oh my God. It probably.
Wow.
All right, cool. Well, I guess that whole thing about AJ wanting to kill Taker, like they took it.
It's a
to the
shoot.
next level.
It's a shoot, brother.
It's a shoot, brother.
But moving on to news here, Hiromu Takahashi starting his own YouTube channel.
Cool. So yeah, I don't know what. I mean, there's gonna be some crazy shit on that, like for sure.
Yeah. So that should be fun. And then moving on, last thing here I have in the news. So there's been a report, we actually had a question that leads into this report. So Twitter follower at MadNutter0102 says there was a story in Cage Side Seats saying the companies in Japan were wrestling in front of fans again. Is this true? And yes, that is true, Mad Nutter. There have been promotions that are starting to run again and promotions that are starting to run fans. So there was a report up on the front page of Wrestling Observer. Said the reason several Japan companies are returning to live show with fans this week is that at yesterday's government meeting with experts on the coronavirus, the doctors reported that the virus Spreading has now been limited to 3 parts of Japan. In the rest of Japan, each prefectures, which are the states, governed are used to their discretion, but the belief is that isolationism will be ending and schools will be reopened and sports entertainment events will be allowed. It's still warned against large gatherings in small enclosed areas. Parts of Tokyo are one of the 3 regions, but not the entire city, along with places in prefectures of Aichi, which is the main city in Nagoya, and Higoyo, which is the main city in Kobe. So we got Stardom, Dragon Gate, and DDT that are all going to be starting to run shows in the next few days. Stardom
and All Japan.
Yeah, All Japan. Big Japan has been running. They've never stopped. Big Japan, Big Japan's been running shows with fans. Stardom tomorrow, they're going to be having their Cinderella tournament, one night tournament that's going to be airing live and free on their YouTube channel. And they're going to be running that tournament. They will be having fans, and they're going to be checking the fans' temperature before they get in the show there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's supposedly supposed to be the protocol for all of these different shows, like basically temperature checks, people with certain health ailments and conditions,
If you're
pregnant women.
Yeah.
People, they're going to be handing out free masks for every single show, so people shouldn't, I think when you watch these shows, everyone's going to be wearing a mask. Obviously, hand sanitizing stations. I still don't know that that's even enough, to be honest with you. I don't know how wise it is given the current climate and situation, because, you still run the risk of reinfection or, basically restarting what all the progress that they've, basically made. Do you undo that by potentially exposing people to the virus once again by putting them in an enclosed setting? I don't know how many fans are actually going to be attending most of these shows, but you got to imagine it's probably somewhere between the 50s to the multiple hundreds, something in that vicinity. Maybe even small 1,000. I don't know. But I just don't know how wise this decision actually is. But I understand why, and I'm not saying I agree with it, but I understand why these smaller companies are doing it. It's out of necessity, because how can they survive from a business standpoint by staying closed indefinitely? They don't have the funds or the resources of a, New Japan Pro Wrestling to continue to thrive or survive, by not running.
Right, yeah, they need that money, they need that gate, and so obviously if they can't run shows, then eventually they're going to have to go out of business. So I definitely see why a lot of these shows are trying to jump back on and get shows started and trying to take as much precautions as possible. Very interesting with Stardom being under Bushiroad, but they decided to cancel New Japan but continue Stardom.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very questionable about all of this. I mean, even what's going on in the States. I loved the AEW show that ran this past Wednesday. I've been kind of following the WWE shows just out of morbid curiosity, and fascination, but I don't know if even that risk is really worth it. I mean, given what we know about this virus and how infectious it is and how prolonged the onset of symptoms may be, or even the fact that many people are asymptomatic and carrying, I don't know if the risk is really worth it. But, when you have large corporations and billionaires and people that are willing to risk their lives for it, they're willing to do it. I'm surprised that nobody has shown positive for it so far,
right,
in the major leagues here in the West. I don't know. It's very questionable. Like, I think it's a big can of worms that's ready to burst open. And I mean, the first person that gets, test positive for it, I'm wondering if these people are even getting tested.
Right. Yeah. So, it's such a sticky situation to be in. It's like, yes, you got these TV contracts here in the West. You want to run shows, and then in Japan with the smaller companies, you need the money to keep the business going, and you want to run shows, but at the same time, you also have to, take in consideration just the health of your performers and the fans, and so.
I think everything's backwards. In Japan, the larger company, being New Japan, is basically staying closed due to everything because I think they think the larger the gathering, the more risk is involved with that.
Right.
And so they're, hopefully they've got a better, we don't know, but hopefully they've got a better handle on things. So the logic there is that a smaller crowd, a smaller group is less, less risk. But in the States, it's the opposite. The big companies are the ones who are continuing to run, albeit, empty arena. Whereas all the independent companies, all the independent shows, all the smaller companies, they're closed. And I mean, the reality is once this thing is all settled and done, there will be independent groups on both sides of the ocean that are out of business.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And I mean, that's going to be the case for a lot of commerce, a lot of business.
Yeah, it's just such a sad situation. And I hope this thing gets cleared up quickly as possible.
Yeah, so I mean, I hope I hope their government has a good handle on it, honestly, because I mean, the last thing that the wrestlers, the fans, the audience needs is more exposure to something that could be detrimental to them from a health standpoint.
Yeah.
And hats off to New Japan. I know that they were one of the last holdouts before this thing kicked off, and I'm not under any illusions that New Japan are strictly altruistic or anything of that nature. But in this scenario, they're doing the right thing by not running high-profile shows in Sumo Hall and places like that where it could be a detriment,
Right. And yeah, so I think with Bushiroad running the Stardom show, I believe that's going to be in Cork, and so that's obviously going to be a smaller crowd than a Sumo Hall. So maybe just kind of gain the grasp of what they can potentially do. I think is probably.
I wonder if they limit how many people can attend.
That'll be interesting to see what the attendance report is, and will there be fans who even want to risk it? Like, will attendance just be low from that standpoint?
Well, we know that the majority of Stardom fans are thirsty young men, so I bet there will be.
Oh my gosh! So yeah, it'll be interesting to get the attendance report tomorrow on that show.
All right, let's get to these questions, man.
Yeah. So first up from Reddit user Highest Fly Flow, he says, "Who is better, Marty Jannetty or Yujiro Takahashi?"
Without question, Marty Jannetty.
Right. Yeah. I mean, hands down. I didn't even have to think about this one.
Marty Jannetty is like one of the most underrated talents of all time. Just literally incredible. I know that this sounds so far-fetched in the eyes of most of the Western audience, but it is a fact. And all you have to do is just go back and watch the footage. When they were a tag team, Marty was better than Shawn. Shawn might have became the better all-around talent long-term and maybe had more of a star potential, but Marty was a better talent than Shawn when they were tagging together. Right. Hands down.
I think Shawn has even gone on the record of saying that. I mean, Marty had more experience at the time that they started teaming, and Marty
fucked his life up with drugs and alcohol. Marty could have been one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And that's no joke. Marty Jannetty when Marty Jannetty came back post, all his fallouts, all his failures. And when he came back in 2005 and wrestled Kurt Angle, he was still great.
Yes, dude, that match with Angle was awesome. And just that mini reunion of the Rockers, man, Marty was looking good.
Marty was fucking incredible. Like, Marty's so underrated. History is not kind to him, but Marty was great. He just was a fuck-up.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I do want to say this, though. There was a time where Yujiro was, like, kind of wrestling very similar to like Kurt Angle, and he was kind of great.
Well, dude, I need to see some of that.
All right.
For your next match, I want you to recommend me one of these Yujiro Kurt Angle matches.
Okay.
Next question from friend of the show, Zach Porter. He asks, has Jeremy watched Bloodsport yet? Zach, I hate to disappoint you guys. I have not watched Bloodsport yet.
Dude, I made my girlfriend watch Bloodsport. She loved it.
So yeah, I gotta get on that. I'll add that to the queue of things to watch during the quarantine.
You've got so much quarantine time. It's not even a long movie. Like, and I'm telling you, it's one of the best movies of all time. Like, it's so cheesy. It's so bloody. It's so freaking awesome. It's so relevant. You need to watch it, bro.
All right, I will try my best to get it done this week and report back on the show next week.
Me and Zach got drunk one day and then watched it.
Oh gosh. Zach also asked me, who's my pick for the Stardom Cinderella tournament? So I mean, my heart wants to go with Momo Watanabe. She's one of my favorites there in Stardom, but just based on who they've been pushing and kind of where things are going and looking at the brackets, I feel like Julia is going to be the one that's going to be winning the Cinderella Cup tomorrow.
I was going to take a shot in the dark and say Julia, but because you said Julia, I'm going to make my pick. Tam Nakano.
All right, let me make sure is Tam in the tournament? Yeah, she is. Yes, all right. Josh is going with Tam.
I don't watch Stardom. I have no clue. Julia seemed like one of the chicks they were pushing, so one of the women, I should say. One day I got chastised for using the word chicks. I don't know if that's a bad word. In the group I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
Dr. Josie. Joshi. Yeah, but I have no clue. I don't watch enough Stardom to say with any authority. If I was you, the listener, I would listen to Jeremy. He knows better than I do.
And even my knowledge is not that great. So, obviously, check out One Nation Radio. They have a preview of the Cinderella tournament, and they have your Stardom coverage for you here on the network. So if you're interested in getting to Stardom, check out One Nation Radio. And
I think Arisa Hoshiki's winning.
That could happen.
Isn't she already like a champion? I think.
Yeah, actually, she's not in the tournament, so that cannot happen.
Oh, so none of the champions are in the tournament. So there's no Mayu, there's no Arisa Hoshiki.
Mayu's in the tournament.
How? She's a champion.
Yeah, I don't. That's weird. Yeah, first round match looks like Mayu and Hana Kimura.
Hana Kimura could win.
Yeah, she could. She's another.
I mean, she's one of the girls that they're kind of pushing just based. I mean, I heard she's a good worker, but I hear she's not as good as many of the other girls, but she's very attractive. So she has a marketable look.
I think another sleeper is Jamie Hayter.
Really?
She's been tagging, obviously, with B. Priestley. She dates Carl Fredericks. And she's been doing great things. Her and B are the tag champs right now. And she's a really good worker. I really like her work a lot. And, with her and B joining Odio Tai and with B's kind of turn on Queen's Quest, that could be interesting to kind of keep that push going and having Jamie win this.
See, I'm not even following it. I thought B Priestley was part of Queen's Quest. I did not know that. Yeah,
she had the big angle a while back where she beginning of the year.
I knew there was a big angle with Odio Tai, but I didn't know what happened.
Yeah,
I guess with
Kagetsu
leaving, that's probably why they had to do an angle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I need to get in that stuff. I don't watch it. I just don't have time.
Yeah, man. There's so much wrestling, so much content in general, and just not
now.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, I mean, there's still, with all the empty arena stuff, and a lot of companies are putting out for free a lot of stuff from their archives. So,
dude, I know you've been eating up the ROH stuff.
Oh yeah, so Ring of Honor, if you guys have not been up on this, Ring of Honor has put out these anniversary series on their YouTube channels of some of their, alumni wrestlers. So Samoa Joe, Kevin Steen, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, El Generico. There's all
for your money. Have you found a single match that they posted yet that's better than Kobashi Joe?
No, I think that is my favorite and the best match that they've posted on these series. So that's the first match on the Joe series that they posted is Joe versus Kobashi. That match is incredible. That was the second time I watched it because
so great.
You had me watch it before, and yeah, it's so good.
It's my favorite Ring of Honor match of all time. What's your favorite Ring of Honor match of all time? Or and we're talking the best, not just your favorite, but the best one.
I don't know. That's hard. I don't know if I have what I would consider the best. That Joe Kobashi is going to be up there. I can also think of, Jay Lethal versus Jay Briscoe, Steen and Generico in their match. They've had the ladder war and then that no DQ match they've had. Trying to think what else. I mean, those are the ones that are like probably also like the Young Bucks ladder wars that they've had have been crazy.
You don't have a single favorite ever?
No, not just one. There's not one I can just put my finger on right now. There's so many that I like, and plus too, there's like different eras of Ring of Honor also.
Yeah, but it's kind of like there's different eras, but there's got to be like the consensus number one. Like I think for most people, like I mean, like to me, the ones that I know of being like the best Ring of Honor matches, quote unquote, of all time are like Joe Punk 2, probably Bryan and McGinnis. Bryan and Kenta are like up there, but I think for me, Joe Kobashi is the best one.
Yeah, I mean,
I know Steen and Generico, yeah, those are incredible. But yeah, I've never seen anything better in Ring of Honor, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's probably best bell to bell in ring action would probably be that match. I think
the only real criticism of it is people are like, well, it's just a recycled Kawada Mizawa Kobashi match. Basically, it's like a love letter to the Four Pillars. But fuck it, I love the Four Pillars, so I don't care. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think the one thing that could potentially hurt that match and making it the best ever is just like I don't know if there was a lot of like storyline and build going into that match.
No, there wasn't. It was just basically a dream match. It was the ace of Noah / former ace of All Japan taking on the ace of ROH.
Right. So a lot of other matches, obviously like Steam Generico, you have that whole long backstory. Bryan McGinnis, there's some backstory there. Some of those other matches have like the promos and the weekly kind of TV build up to it. And I think
for like in ring, I mean Joe and Punk are just other level when it comes to in ring storytelling. They're very, I wouldn't say on the same level in ring wise, although they're not for the era. They're not far off from like say your Okada Omega, but they're similar in the fact that it was an in-ring story.
Right.
It wasn't all about the promos. It wasn't all about like, the segments and everything. And obviously it's a different era. Ring of Honor didn't have a ton of that, although they did have some. But I mean, that whole feud was based on the in-ring story that they had, which was fantastic.
Yeah, that Joe Punk series was great. So moving on here to the next question from Maserati. He says, if it's not too late, this is a weird one, but could you see a David Starr or other controversial characters working in NJPW in regards to kayfabe? I understand his efforts to unionize wrestlers would make it harder in real life.
Well, one thing you got to take into consideration, how much is unionization of wrestlers going to affect New Japan Pro Wrestling? I mean, they're in Japan. It's not necessarily the same thing, honestly. I think that their efforts for unionization applies more to like independent wrestling in the West. So it's not impossible. I do think it's strange that they've never had him work New Japan because I feel like he'd be a good fit. He's had great matches with, Ishii and Ospreay and different guys like that. But I don't know. There seems to be something very enigmatic about David Starr and that like a lot of these companies don't want to bring him in, or maybe it's a lack of star character, star potential that people like some of these bigger companies just don't see in him. I don't know.
Right. And he's a very, promo heavy guy. And honestly, in New Japan, there's not really a whole bunch of promo time. Also, there's the backstage kind of stuff. And I'm sure he can kind of do stuff walking to the ring, but not as much as he does in other promotions. So I don't know if that's part of it, or maybe he's just not on their radar. I don't know.
If we were doing the Bret Hart scale that we did last week, you talk about a guy like David Starr. Promo, you got to be very high.
Right. Promo, probably like in the 9 range.
In ring work, you got to be very high. But when you talk about it factor and look, you're in the mid range. I mean, he doesn't have a bad look, but there's not, in a bygone, he's a throwback. He's kind of like a Cesaro, a guy that harkens back to the 60s or the 70s of pro wrestling. I mean, he reminds me of those types of guys, like your Jack Briscoes, your Dory Funks, even your Brunos, things of that nature. Like a real shooter, but he doesn't necessarily grip you. I mean, I think there's a whole reason why they have the whole entire long entrance for him, or not entrance, but the long
ring introduction.
The ring introduction, because there needs to be some sort of pizzazz to what he brings to the table. And if you don't hear his pre-match, promos and his video packages and stuff, and his work, you just look at the guy. There's not a lot to really sink your teeth into. But once you see his work, you're like, oh shit, he's fucking incredible.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think he could work in New Japan, especially with his style. He does have like a strong style kind of based offense with a lot of strong lariats and suplexes.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think he would be a fit in Suzuki-gun and, teaming with guys like Sabre and Suzuki.
I don't think he's a fit anywhere in New Japan when it comes to the stables, if you want my honest opinion.
I think that would probably Suzuki-gun would probably be the closest thing I would think.
Possibly, but it's also kind of like, you can't throw every Western shooter in there. It's like Zack Sabre kind of inhibits, or like, he kind of like has that space filled up, and it's like, I guess you could add more guys and change things. You could do whatever you want, but it's like, that's kind of Zach's role.
Right,
he's the guy that fills that role. I just don't know. And, we'll talk about it when we get to our cards, but we're talking about a guy like MJF, another guy, great promo, great look, decent ring skills. We started talking about fitting him in on our New Japan cards. We're like, where does he fit in? I don't know. There are just some guys that don't translate well for whatever reason to the style of New Japan Pro Wrestling until you try it. Who knows? Maybe they bring him over and he'd be awesome, but we'd have to see.
Yeah. Next question from a friend of the show, Josh McLaughlin, Josh number 2. He says, top five matches to pass the time during social distancing.
Oh my God. Are the top 5 matches?
Yeah.
Are these going to be New Japan? Are we going to stick to New Japan Pro Wrestling?
I guess so. He wasn't really specific there.
All right, let's throw some matches out there that he should watch. Are these going to be the best matches, or just matches that we think that we enjoy that we think you should watch?
He said top 5 matches.
Oh man. Well, would it be fair for us to just throw out all 4 Omega Okada matches?
Right. That's yeah. I'm pulling up Grapple right now and just looking at some of the top rating matches overall in New Japan. So Okada, Shibata.
No. We need to go one by one. This is how about you give 5, I'll give 5, and we'll do it that way.
Okay.
But give me a second to pull up, what I want to do.
All right. Well, I'm working off this list on Grapple here, so I'm gonna say Okada Shibata, which was our recommended match last week. So watch that if you haven't. Okada.
Whoa. We're gonna go one by one.
Okay.
You don't get to take all 5.
Well, I thought you need some time to pull your list up.
I mean, I do, but I can still work off the top of my head. Okay. I think that if there is a series of matches, we just throw it out there, like just throw the series out there. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, Shibata. Okay, you said Shibata and Okada.
Yeah.
Okay, Omega Okada. Period. Like obviously, it's the greatest series ever.
All right. So does that count as 3 for you? Or does that just count as 1?
No. Well, that just counts as 1.
Okay, and so I can't repeat.
No, because I used it.
Okay. Then I'm going to go with Kenny Omega versus Tetsuya Naito from the G1 2017 finals.
Which one?
The 2017 finals.
Of what?
G1 Climax.
What was the finals of the G1 Climax 2017?
I said Kenny Omega versus Tetsuya Naito.
Oh, I mean, that whole series. Yeah. Any of their matches are just fucking incredible.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, if it's a really good match and there's a series, let's just throw it out there.
Okay.
Because, I mean, every single Naito and Omega match is 5 stars.
Yeah.
After that, I would just throw out Tanahashi Okada. Any of their matches, literally.
Then I'll go Nakamura Ibushi.
Oh, my God. Okay. For number 3, I will throw out. I'll throw out Tanahashi and Nakamura.
Okay.
Just a fucking incredible series.
Gonna go with Tanahashi and Ibushi.
Oh my god, so good. You're at number 4.
I think that was my 4th one. Yeah.
Okay. How about Will Ospreay and Ricochet?
Okay.
And all their matches are just incredible.
Let's see. Omega and Ishii.
Oh shit! Literally, this is how good New Japan is. Every single match that we've thrown out, aside from Okada and Shibata, those are all series matches. That like, there's at least 3 or 4 matches or more that are near 5 stars. Every single single one of them. So what? That was your 5th one?
Yeah.
All right, and then God, I don't even know. All right, for shits and giggles, I'll just throw it out there. Watch the match where Kushida gets beaten by Hiromu in 2 minutes.
Oh, the best squash match ever.
The greatest squash match in the history of professional wrestling. What was that from? That was from Invasion Attack?
I always forget which show it's from. I think that's it.
Just look it up. Look up Hiromu Takahashi versus Kushida. And actually, that's a series as well because the matches that were long matches were all incredible. And then they also threw in the greatest squash match in the history of wrestling as well.
Yeah.
Just incredible shit.
So he also asked, if the Olympics get canceled this year and NJPW gets their summer schedule opened back up, do you think they try to go backwards in their booking, or do they just act like none of the last month was booked and just pick up with like G1?
Well, the G1's not happening till when? Like
September?
September?
Yeah.
I'm hoping for our sakes, well, just for everybody's sakes, I'm hoping that this gets cleared up before then. But I think it really just depends on what's most advantageous for them given that time period. I think the biggest thing is that they need to capitalize on whenever they have their first big match, or not match, but first big show, you know what I mean? Like they come back, the ban has been lifted, people are going to be hungering for great wrestling. That first show needs to be special. And obviously we haven't had they probably won't know ahead of time very much. There probably won't be a lot of time given. Like right now they're doing all these together project shows and everything like that. And from what I can tell, they're kind of keeping some storylines alive, but it's not like they're emphasizing any particular storyline because we don't know when this is going to end and we don't know when it's going to begin again. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think when they do that show is going to be the big kickoff. Like I mentioned last week, sort of similar to like another, what's the show? I always forget the name of this show. What's the show after Wrestle Kingdom?
New Year's Dash.
Sort of like a New Year's Dash, but on a bigger scale. You know what I mean? Sort of like a show in a vacuum that can kick off storylines and get things rolling again. And then it will remain to be seen. I hope that we get Best Super Juniors and Dominion and roll into G1 season and Wrestle Dynasty and all that, but I just don't know.
Yeah, and as far as their summer schedule opening back up, I mean, they were kind of working around the Olympics, so they were going to be running shows throughout the summer. I mean, they were going to do that Hokkaido tour in July, and they were going to be kind of, working around the Olympics. So the Olympics getting canceled is not going to really, it'll probably help with drawing. People won't be going between Olympics and their shows, but as far as their summer schedule, I think they were always planning on, having a normal kind of schedule there.
Also, reading the group chat, James Boyd, a.k.a. Dr. Joshi, just said that he just got done watching B. Priestley versus Will Ospreay, his third favorite ever B. Priestley match.
Yeah, that match was awesome. I did watch that match from the No Fans Monday Wrestle Talk show.
No Fans Gate.
Yeah. No People Gate show.
No People Gate.
Yeah, that match was awesome, dude. He killed B with the hidden blade. That was freaking awesome. So yeah, check out that match if you guys want something to watch.
I feel bad to like be praising him for killing her with the hidden blade.
Another wrestlers attacking their girlfriend story. There was a video today of John Moxley super kicking Renee.
I was like, this is taking a really dark turn. Like, I didn't intend for our show to get this way. Where did we go wrong?
No, there's a video of Mox super kicking Renee. Obviously, he didn't really kick her, but they were doing this little stupid video thing, and he just runs up and like super kicks her, and it was hilarious.
Because he's trying to get her toilet paper.
Yeah.
Luckily, I just installed a bidet here at Parts Unknown, and it's been life-changing.
Why don't you install one here at the dojo?
Well, you got to buy one first. My sugar mama bought one, so, you know.
Next question here from Reddit user T Flares. He says, we have Gorillas of Destiny, Evil Sonata, Dangerous Techers, Thin Juice, and Golden Aces by default as the main heavyweight tag teams by my recollection. What other long-term tag team combinations would you like to see? Which ones would you like to reform, like Okada and Yoshihashi as Ride the Lightning?
I think they were only like labeled as Ride the Lightning during that one World Tag League, which that's kind of funny that people still remember that. Well, if there was one that I would like to advocate for that I think would just be incredible, Shingo and Hiromu.
Yeah, that would be an awesome team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you could always go Naito Hiromu if the time ever comes, but that would be freaking incredible.
Yeah. I mean, the one team that I would love to see that's probably not going to happen because you would have to cross factions would be Shingo and Ishii.
Yeah, I'm still holding out for Goto and Ishii. We saw, like, we've been talking about how great Goto and Ishii would be for years. And then we had a couple matches with them, and they were like some of the best tag team matches of the year.
Yeah.
So, like, I love Goto and Ishii. Like, that's the Haas team I've always wanted, and I want them to tag more regularly than they actually do.
Yeah.
I mean, Will and Okada.
Yeah, that's a super team right there.
Yep.
Trying to think if there's any other people. Let's see, team. Yeah, nothing else really coming to my head right now.
I mean, there's quite a few options. I mean, when you start thinking about like young lions as well, that might be making their returns as well. There's some options. Obviously, I think Kenta and Jay White is always an option as well.
Right, yeah, kind of a Bullet Club super team.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Who would you like to see John Moxley team with if ever given the chance?
I mean, I would love for Shooter to come back and get them a run. But if you had a team with somebody that's currently there,
I think you gave the perfect answer. Shooter and Mox.
Yeah, that's the team right there. I do think once again, with it being kind of cross faction, I mean, Mox and Shingo with kind of the history that they've had in the Indies, I think that would be an interesting team. Very
interesting. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good options right now, honestly. And I mean, if you just threw in one or two more extra teams like we just named, I mean, you have a very strong tag team division right then and there, immediately.
Yeah.
Now we just need some good booking for them.
Yeah. And just consistent good booking.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rance.
What's up, Rance? Next question from Twitter follower at Ushiyarogi says,
That's an awesome name.
Is hamburger a sandwich? This is the answer we all need to know during these hard times.
Absolutely, it's a sandwich.
Oh, yeah, I would say, I mean, when you go to a restaurant, the hamburgers are usually under the sandwich part of the menu, right?
Now, I think what people are always wondering is like, is a hot dog a sandwich? That's always the real question.
Right.
And I'm always like, I don't know. It's a hot dog. Is a kielbasa a sandwich? Is a sausage link. I don't know, but a burger, absolutely it is.
So you're 100% on the hamburger, but not on the hot dog.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because a hamburger has two slices and a hot dog sits in a bun and it's connected. The bread is not broken. For it to be a sandwich, you need two broken pieces to be slathered together. Especially since, like, you think about it, like one is vertical and then one is horizontal. It's not the same.
Man, bring some great points there. I didn't think about.
Yeah, this is compelling audio. What a great question, Ushirogi.
A breakdown of sandwiches.
Yeah, absolutely.
So next question comes from Reddit user Grunty Dodds. 2-part question. If you had a time machine, what wrestler or tag team from the classic era of ECW, not the revival from 06, would you bring to 2020 New Japan? Then put the time machine in reverse. Who would you bring from modern NJPW to ECW?
Oh my God. I mean, if I'm thinking, okay, God, this is such a great question.
I mean, for me, the first part, if I'm bringing somebody from classic ECW to 2020 New Japan, I'm bringing Taz.
Yeah, but he said tag teams.
He said what wrestler or tag team?
Oh, I thought this was specifically tag teams.
Nah.
Okay, I'm gonna treat it the way that I heard it. How about you handle the single stars and I'll handle the tag teams?
Okay. So singles, Taz.
So you would bring Taz from the past era to the modern era.
Yeah.
I mean, Taz is my favorite guy from ECW, like by far. So I can't disagree with you at all. If you were to bring one person from modern NJPW into like 1996 ECW, who would you bring?
I think Shingo.
Whew. Okay. Well, thinking about it for just a half second, because I did not review these questions before we got them. I think easily for me, like the easiest tag team to bring from ECW is the Eliminators, John Cronus and Perry Saturn.
Yeah. Just
groundbreaking, just fucking incredible. High flyers, they could do everything, and they were just fucking awesome. So yeah, I would bring them to New Japan nowadays. If I were to put, now I'm going to reverse it and I'm going to stick with tag teams, which is probably harder, but God, what? I don't know. Sonata and Evil?
Yeah, I think that's
probably my answer.
Yeah, I mean, I would question maybe Guerrillas of Destiny just because of Tama's promos. And I feel like he could be a very electric character on the mic in that old school ECW.
I agree with you, but I also think to myself, you're absolutely right when you say that. But at the same time, Paul Heyman had a knack for taking Japanese stars and bringing them over and accentuating their positives, as they always used to say. And I think he could really utilize the whole LIJ gimmick, the whole Evil and Sonata thing, and really turn them into something special over there.
Yeah, definitely. Paul Heyman ECW was incredible.
Plus, they would fucking rule over there. They'd be able to we get to see a new side of Evil and Sonata. They wouldn't be so dry. That would fucking rule. That's my pick.
Nice. Next question from Reddit user PSan91. With Matt Hardy saying he can work New Japan shows in the future.
Although, hold on, I'm sorry. You always could throw the Birds of Prey out there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just had to throw that out there.
Dude, oh, my gosh. Dude, yeah. Birds of Prey would be freaking incredible.
They'd be so great that they'd get signed up by WCW and they'd be, languishing in the cruiserweight division. Then
they'd be wrestling 3 count.
And then after 8 years of struggle, they'd finally make their way to WWF, and then they'd have to start all over again. So yeah, it'd be great.
Oh my gosh. But Reddit user PCA91, with Matt Hardy saying that he can work New Japan shows in the future, when do you think we will first see him on a show? I'm thinking Dominion at the earliest, assuming that they can run a show that big in June, given the current situation.
That's an interesting question. I saw something online about him saying he wanted to work New Japan Pro Wrestling, but I didn't look deep into it. What's the deal there?
Yeah, so it was a Twitter exchange, and I think somebody mentioned seeing something about Matt Hardy in New Japan, and Matt Hardy said, that something to the effect like his contract allows it, and he would like to wrestle in New Japan in the future, something like that. I don't have the exact tweet in front of me, but that's pretty much the gist of it.
Well, I mean, for better or for worse, New Japan are some WWF whores, if history is proven to be correct. So the fact that they could bring in like a legendary former star like Matt Hardy, they'd probably do it, given the fact that he is such a big star. That being said, I don't know how he fits into New Japan. Right. I don't think he does at all. I think it would be super weird. At this point, given the type of worker he is, how it's so character centered and it's so based on vignettes and backstage, not even backstage, pre-taped promos cut from the Hardy compound. I don't know how well that translates to the Japanese audience that they're viewing now. So I'm just wondering, would New Japan even do this? Yes, there is a precedent that they would because he's from WWE, but would it get over? I don't know that it would.
Right, and then this kind of falls up with Dan's question, saying Matt Hardy says his contract allows him to work in NJPW and wants to work Wrestle Kingdom. Who would you like to see him face, or what role would you like to see him play? Obviously Matt Hardy, he's in the later stage of his career, a lot of injuries, body ailments. His work is just not what it was when he was younger. So him on a Wrestle Kingdom stage, I feel like you would have to put him in there with a super worker like a Will Ospreay or Okada, or maybe you do like him and Ishii and have this kind of crazy plunder brawl throughout the arena.
I'm not a believer, to be honest with you. I'm not right now. I think that the appeal of what makes Matt Hardy special at this point and what makes him so hot is the crazy backstage stories. If you guys didn't listen to his interview, I know you did, Jeremy, but if you haven't listened to his interview with Chris Jericho this past week, you definitely should go listen to it. But he goes so in depth with his Free the Delete series and the whole mythos behind his character and everything, and it's very convoluted. It's it reminds me a lot of video game histories, or the histories of a fantasy show that's been running for 10 seasons. That's how crazy it sounds.
Yeah.
I don't know how you translate that to New Japan. Now I do know that he knows how to work a crowd, and I know that he can get the character over to a degree, but we saw what kind of happened in WWE when a audience that's not as familiar with his gimmick is presented with the character in a setting that's not completely cultivated by him. And I don't know if unless given the free reign to develop that mythos in Japan, that it would actually work. On the other side of things, there have been mythical characters. You think about your Kabukis, your Great Mutas, Jinsei Shinzaki, people like that, who've been able to play darker characters and get the imagination of the crowd wondering. So maybe it could work. I don't know. I don't know what role I could even see him playing, to be honest with you. I'm just wondering who the fuck would Matt Hardy wrestle that would be compelling at this point.
Right.
Yeah. I think AEW is the perfect fit for him, but I don't know about New Japan at all.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it'd be a stretch.
I also have this thing where it's I'm kind of I don't know. I'm questionable about some of these guys that are I want to go work New Japan. I want to work a Wrestle Kingdom. And it's okay, I get it. You want to work Wrestle Kingdom, you want to work Japan. It's a bucket item list. You want to be able to say you did it. You want to have the experience. But you don't want to come in and work the Road to shows.
Right.
You want the Jericho payday, like, so fuck off. I don't really care. Like at that point, unless like Matt Hardy wanted to come here and like commit real time to doing a real program with somebody and actually spend some time here. If he's just gonna come in and be treated like a part timer, like some of these other guys that have come in, but it worked with Jericho. Jericho had a history that was cultivated here over several decades. But Matt Hardy doesn't. You just want to bring him in because he's a WWE guy. I don't think that works, to be honest with you. I think that there have been a lot of guys who said similar things. Like, unless you want to work a G1 like Mox, I don't know what to tell you.
And even with the Jericho comparison, like Jericho has always been a better in-ring worker than Matt Hardy. And even at this later stage in Jericho's career, the matches that Jericho's had, that Jericho Omega match, like Jericho was still and kind of, hitting a stride there and kind of a second win in his career and just a master of in-ring. And don't get me wrong, Matt Hardy is great and he's had a great career and has done a lot of great stuff for the business. But as far as like in-ring bell to bell, Matt Hardy's never been known as a super worker, or super technical guy.
I know that this sounds gatekeepery of me, and fuck it, whatever. I'm a gatekeeper, but like I could see him coming in and being like part of a chaos 10-man tag,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe he works a 6-man never title match, but like to say that they're going to give him a big like profiled singles match and leave Ishii off of a Wrestle Kingdom again, or leave, Shingo or Suzuki off, like fuck that. No, fuck that.
Yeah.
Period. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be. I have a hard time seeing him really
And
match up with anybody there.
I fucking marked the fuck out when Vanguard 1 came out this past Wednesday. I love him in AEW. I think it's the perfect medium for him as a performer and for his creativity. I love the Broken Hardy stuff. I just don't see how that would work in a sports-centric environment like New Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe you do a dream match, him and Evil. Like, they could just do that for shits and giggles, you know?
I could see him and Yano like being afraid of him.
That would be funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give Jeremy the book.
Next question comes from Reddit user Rambone Slam Pig. Did you get a chance to check out the no audience free Dragon Gate show? And if so, what do you think? Are there any stars in Dragon Gate you'd like to see in NJPW? I did not get a chance to watch the free Dragon Gate show. I did add it to my watch list on YouTube, so I will be watching it this week, but did not get a chance to watch it before we recorded.
I heard about it. I did not watch it. My knowledge of Dragon Gate is extremely limited.
Yeah, I'm not
very peripheral.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with the Dragon Gate roster. There's a few names that I've heard, a few people I've seen, like KZ. I've seen KZ against Pac last year in a Open the Dream Gate title match, and I thought he was really good. Ben K is another guy I hear a lot about. But honestly, I mean, those are the two main guys that I could say without trying to, lie to you guys. I mean, the current champ right now, Naruki Doi, I have heard, from other reviewers, good stuff about him. So bring him in. Ultimo Dragon's still doing shows there. How about we bring Ultimo in?
Okay, great. And before we continue, so just a quick update. So the reason my girlfriend had mentioned Boneyard is because apparently they're not calling the Buried Alive match a Buried Alive match anymore. They're calling it a Boneyard match, and it is AJ versus Taker. And they're like, the Boneyard match. The only way to win is by burying your opponent alive.
Wow.
What is? By the way, everybody, WrestleMania is being taped this week, so we're probably gonna figure out like who won the matches like way ahead of time.
Yeah, well, we'll really find out. Meltzer sources with an empty arena if we still get spoilers.
All right, so let's. We had another question here.
Yep. So next question from Viking Pain has a multi-part question here.
Like 3 questions.
Yeah. So first question says, recently CM Punk said having a match with Will Ospreay would be something he would be open to listening to. Do you guys think he's trolling or actually serious? And how big of a shift in the wrestling landscape would it be if New Japan somehow got CM Punk to sign with them over WWE and AEW?
Well, I think that when he mentioned that, just to be clear, he threw out some other names out there. He threw out like what? John Cena, Rey Mysterio. Was there anybody else?
I didn't see the full list. I know Will Ospreay was the main guy that I saw.
Yeah, Punk threw out some names, and he was like, he said he's not interested in wrestling, but if they threw out the right names, I could be misquoting, but he might have said Brock Lesnar. He was like, if you threw out the right name, he's like, those are names I would listen to. And he was like, Will Ospreay. And it was funny because Will Ospreay is the only guy from over here that, he didn't say Okada, he didn't say Tanahashi, he didn't say Naito. He just named Will Ospreay. So, he's familiar enough with him to say he'd be willing. And funny enough, he didn't say any AEW guys. He didn't say Cody. He didn't say Kenny.
Yeah.
I would love to see him and Kenny. Like, that's my dream, one of my dream matches. But, I think back to that Punk promo from the Pipe Bomb where he was like, maybe I'll go defend this title in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Never happened. But, I think at this point, like, he's got a cushy job with Fox making some serious money that he's probably not deserving to actually make. To analyze a sport or, sports entertainment that he hasn't followed in like 5 or 6 years. And his takes really aren't that great, to be honest. And this is just coming from an unbiased standpoint. I love CM Punk as a wrestler, but from what I understand, it seems like there is animosity from WWE. They don't feel the need to utilize him as a wrestler. There's not very much interest on their end to use him. He did spoil the prospective rumored date of June for a future WrestleMania date, as before they decide to do this 2 days of WrestleMania in pre-taped in empty arenas and the like. So I don't know, it doesn't seem like things are so great with WWE. I think it would change things a lot if he ever did sign with New Japan, but I don't think CM Punk is ever going to do that, and I don't think the Will Ospreay stuff is very serious. I think he's just talking about guys that he really respects, honestly.
Right. I mean, yeah, I don't know if there is a number that is big enough for Punk to, come out of retirement and wrestle. Yeah, once again, I think he's just saying kind of guys he respects. And, yeah, I would love to see that Will Ospreay match. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like in the West it might be like a big thing for like Western fans to kind of get into New Japan, but as far as in Japan, I don't know how big of a shift that would be of Punk coming over there.
Well, I think we can't underestimate how big of a deal it would be for the Western audience. And, we saw the kind of needle that like Jericho moved, and, given obviously like Punk hasn't made a huge stride on what's the Fox show called?
Backstage.
Yeah, he hasn't made a big move on Backstage, but it's Backstage. Like, I don't know if anyone going on Backstage, Cody Rhodes could show up on Backstage tomorrow, or Tony Khan could, and it wouldn't do shit. It's set up for failure. So I really don't put too much stock in that, honestly. But at the end of the day, if CM Punk wrestled, it would be a big deal. It really would. And New Japan is looking for someone who can help them in the West. I'm not saying that they are actively, but I mean, if they're smart, they should be, given what happened with, the Elite and everything of that nature. So it would be probably a great thing for them business-wise, but in the West.
Right, yeah. Yeah, definitely a huge impact in the West. As far as Japan, I don't think it would, like that Punk to a show is not going to draw more fans or not in Japan.
Well, I don't know. He's got indie cred. He fought MMA. Obviously, it was unsuccessful, but there's that fact of it. Plus, he's a former WWE champion, and we've seen how they treat WWE champions. So, yeah. I'm not entirely discounting it. I just don't know how impactful it would be. But I think our next question actually still has to do with Punk.
Yeah, so he says, now just for fun, let's say all the stars and money align and Punk does actually sign with New Japan. Using Bret Hart's wrestler scale, would CM Punk rank in the New Japan? Where would CM Punk rank in the New Japan roster? Where and how would you book his debut? Wrestle Dynasty, Wrestle Kingdom? And other than Will Ospreay, what matches would you like to see Punk have in New Japan?
All right, well, let's just do the Bret Hart scale real quick with him.
All right. So look.
I'll say 7.5.
Yeah, I think 7.5 is fair. He's not an overly big guy, and especially doing MMA, he leaned out a lot and dropped a lot of weight. So obviously he's not as big as he was as a pro wrestler. So yeah, I think the 7.5 works there.
Okay.
So Mike.
9.5.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Like, you could go higher. I just don't know how much that would translate to like the Japanese audience. But I mean, Punk's always been one of the best talkers in the business.
Yeah.
I think, who knows? Maybe there's been a decline. Maybe he's better. I don't know. So I'm just kind of going intangibly. I'll go 9.5.
And then work. This is a hard one.
It is a hard one. I would say I'm going to bump it up to an 8. I'm inclined to go in the 7s, but I'll just go 8, even though I don't think Punk is the greatest worker ever. I think that he's great at a lot of things in pro wrestling, like reading an audience, reading a moment, doing the small things. He's not the most athletically gifted guy, but when he was in his prime, he could still put on a fantastic performance, hopefully he still has that. Now he might be declined. He could be like lower than a 7 at this point. I don't know, but I'll just go 8.
Right, yeah, we haven't seen him work since this last match, so.
Are you inclined to go lower, or you agree?
I just don't know. I mean, we haven't seen this guy work in however long. It's like I don't know if he, even with his previous experience, like how he's gonna be able to go in the ring or not. So,
I do know that like doing Punk rewatches, he's still great, but not as good as I remember him being.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I was like, because growing up, like watching him like come up in Ring of Honor, I was like, man, Punk is just awesome. He's just kind of a next level guy, and
that level passed him by a long time ago.
Yeah, but you know what? If you're confident, he can be.
I'm not confident. I'm just gonna. I'm like doing it from an intangible standpoint.
Yeah.
Like it would be sort of like Hogan against Rock. Hogan wasn't really as good as Hogan came off that night, but because it was that special moment, he came off a little bit better.
Yeah.
Maybe Punk can be an 8 for one night. I don't know.
All right, let's go 8, and then our last addition, the it factor.
I think it's pretty high. I don't know. I'd go as high as 8.5.
Yeah, I would go 8.5.
It could be higher. Like there's a lot of intangibles with Punk. It could be lower. We just don't know. He could flop.
All right, so where and how would you book him?
Before we do that, I mean, what's our aggregate score? Where would he rank in the in the list of New Japan guys right now, you think?
All right, hold on. Let me so we did 7.5, then we did 9.5, then 8 for the work and 8.5 for the it factor. So that's 33.5.
And I think we're being pretty generous, honestly.
Yeah, that's
it
really
could be
generous.
a lot lower in a lot of areas.
Yeah, so that's 33.5. If I remember correctly, that's like in the Will Ospreay, Chris Jericho kind of range there.
That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
And he could be much lower. I mean, I could see guys like Sonata wrestling circles around him,
Yeah. So that's where he's at on the Bret Hart wrestler scale. Now, as far as where and how would book him, knowing Punk, he's going to be coming in for a big payday, a big money star. He's probably going to be coming in for Wrestle Kingdom would probably be his first and only show if it was a one-time kind of deal. So
you have him wrestle Okada.
Yeah, I mean that's.
You bring him in, you have him wrestle Okada.
Yeah, that's the match.
Yeah, I mean that's what you do. I mean, you could do like a Naito or something like that, but you bring him in, you have him wrestle your top guy. He's the top guy, and then see where it goes from there. Like, there's so many questions about Punk at this point. You need to bring him in, sort of like what they did with Jericho. They brought Jericho in, he wrestled Omega.
Mm-hmm.
You bring him in, you either have him wrestle Ospreay, you have him wrestle Okada. It's one of those two guys.
What about Tanahashi?
You could do that, but I find that much less appealing.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
And you probably want somebody a little bit younger who could definitely kind of push that pace for Punk.
I want the dream match aspect of it. It's like it's a one-time, once in a generation. You know, you want to basically draw people. People are going to watch. You want to put him in there with your very, very top guy and watch your top guy beat him. That's Okada. You book Okada. You do it at Wrestle Kingdom, period.
Yeah.
And then go from there. Then maybe if he does well, there might be a future, but that's what you start with.
Yeah, I think that's the plan right there. Then he says, lastly, Kota Ibushi has recently revealed that he lives a 25-hour day life cycle. How would you guys live your life with an extra hour a day?
I'd probably sleep an extra hour.
Bro, as soon as I read that question, that was exactly what I was saying. I'd probably just sleep if I had an extra hour.
I don't know if that extra hour would benefit me in any way, honestly. I'm not the best, I'm not the best manager of my time to begin with, so.
Yeah, and if this is the first that you're hearing about Kota Ibushi's 25-hour life cycle, check out the NJPW Together show he did with Tanahashi, and he's talking about his sleep cycle and what he does to, quote unquote, get this extra hour in his life. So, very interesting.
All right. So we got the next question. I'll take this one. It's from Rich Latta of One Nation Radio. He said, Lex Luger or Sting?
Well, for me, I've always been a Sting guy. Sting, growing up, was my second favorite wrestler behind Shawn Michaels. So I'm Sting, man.
So I'll say this. I'm a Sting guy as well. For longevity of career, Sting is the better character. Sting has more compelling work. But if you want to talk about better peaks, who's the better worker in their peak? It is Lex Luger.
Really?
Lex Luger in 88 fucks Sting up at any point in his entire career, period. Well, I guarantee you, Lex Luger in 88, like late 80s, Luger is better than Sting has ever been in his entire career. I think Luger peaked much higher than Sting, but I think Sting probably has the better resume long term. But, at the same time, I think Luger peaked higher than Sting many times in his career. I don't think Sting has ever been as hot in his career as Luger was during 1993, during the Lex Express. I don't think that Sting was ever as hot as Luger was for that 1 week after he beat Hulk Hogan on Monday Nitro. Like, there was something very special about Luger where he wasn't, part of it was his body and all that. Like, he was like just a mythical looking kind of guy. Also, Luger was fucking hot when he came back, when he jumped ship from WWF to WCW that 1 week. Like, I guess the only time you can make I might have misspoke, because when Sting went Crow, he was fucking
mad
white
over.
hot.
Yeah,
white hot. But I just have times where, like, I just remember being more compelled by Luger, but they were so short-lived.
Yeah, I've never seen 88 Luger. I've only seen Luger through the 90s, and I loved Luger growing up. I loved the total package. I thought he was cool. But for me growing up, I always saw Sting as better than him, and I don't know, like, I always preferred Sting over him.
I can totally see why, and I agree. Like, I think growing up, like, I liked Sting a lot better than Lex Luger, for sure. Like, he's the one guy. Like, I always would be like, the WWF guys would pretty much beat the WCW guys, except for Sting.
Right.
I don't know. Like, I pretty much thought that Ultimate Warrior could beat anybody in WW or in WCW, but I don't know about Sting. That was always, like, sort of my thing. And I remember there's one Nitro where Wolfpack Sting almost beat Goldberg. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And, Sting had Goldberg in the Scorpion Deathlock, and then Hogan fucking hit Sting in the head with the title belt for no damn good reason, just so that Sting wouldn't, like, defeat the streak, basically. Yeah. And I was like, yep, my theories have been, like, justified. Sting would beat most of those guys, because in my mind I was like, Goldberg would run roughshod over most of the WWE, but Sting found a way to beat this bitch.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I love Sting. I mean, I've always loved Sting. That's a tough question. I think Rich probably. I wonder what Sting. I think Rich's answer is probably be Lex Luger.
Yeah,
because he really likes Lex.
Yeah, I think Rich is a Lex guy.
But in '93, bro, you couldn't convince me anybody could beat Lex Luger. Like in 1993, red, white, and blue Lex Luger. Like my God. And then that week after he beat, those couple days when he defeated the NWO, was like, fuck, we need Sting for. He's up in the rafters. Lex Luger's out here putting in the work.
Wow.
He beat the entire NWO by himself. Why we need Sting to come back? Lex did it. Oh, man. But Rich had another question. He said, why the fuck did y'all not shake me up and make me watch more Kenta Kobashi sooner? Okay. Before you say anything, Jeremy, Rich, I have been trying to get you to fucking watch Kenta Kobashi
Oh my
for
God.
like 8 years.
Oh my God.
I'd be like, man, I'd be talking to him and James and be like, man, y'all should really watch Sasuke versus Kobashi. And they'd be like, man, fuck that. I remember in 2013, they're talking about like great matches from the years past. And I'm like, man, y'all should really watch some All Japan. You should watch some Mizawa and Kawada or some Kobashi Kawada. And they're like, nah, fuck that. We're good. We're good with this Kurt Angle over here. This Shawn Michaels. Don't fucking come at me on my podcast and act like I ain't been trying to get you to watch Kenta Kobashi for like almost a decade. Fuck that.
Yeah, Rich. I mean, I don't know. I figured you watch what you watch, man. I can't force you to watch Kenta.
We're not accountable for your viewing habits, sir.
Right. And it's always funny because I feel like me and you will be like, this guy, X guy is great. And they'd be like, I don't know, Chief, about, we'll wait till see it.
In all fairness, Rich and James, like, are diehard wrestling fans. They're some of the most knowledgeable fans that we know. They're obviously good friends of ours. But, like, I think over the past 3 or 4 years, their knowledge and exposure to Japanese wrestling and outside wrestling, maybe even over the past 5 or 6 years, it's really expanded. But like, in 2012, it was hard to get those guys to watch Japanese wrestling.
It was hard. I mean, just like talking about indie guys coming in.
Yeah.
Like Adam Cole came in. Me and you were like, oh, like Adam Cole is the man. He's awesome. Like, man, this, Shawn Michaels light.
It was like a year where they were like, Adam Cole, sorry.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, you have to watch the Adam Cole versus fucking
Kyle O'Reilly
series. And they're like, they're in NXT right now. I don't see them doing shit. Oh my God.
Gosh.
So this shit's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rich is in the middle of he's working from home and like he's got the 9-hour 2003 Kenta Kobashi legendary GHC title reign YouTube playing in the background, and he's like, my God. He's like, this man Kobashi dropped Chono on his dome like 9 times.
Yeah. It was hilarious.
But here's the thing. There was a night at the dojo where we decided we're going to watch Kenta Kobashi. We watched like 3 matches, and by the second match, Rich was asleep. You remember that night?
Yeah, dude. Most times when Rich comes over here and we try to watch wrestling, that man knocks out.
Rich comes over to the dojo talking a big game. Yo, let's watch wrestling. And then he passes out mad quick. Literally, we're watching a 5-star Stan Hansen Kenta Kobashi match from 1993. This man slept through the whole shit, and then he woke up. He's like, "Who won?"
Oh my gosh!
Oh, compelling audio.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next question.
Yep. So Reddit user DomHomie101 says, what are the best and worst wrestling shows that you guys have attended, and what are the best and worst matches that you guys have seen in person?
Oh shit. Okay. The best? I think for both of us, the best show's the same.
The G1 Supercard?
No.
What are you gonna say?
We're not.
Dallas?
All In.
Oh, All
In's
In?
the best
Oh,
show.
yeah. Wow. How could I forget about that?
All In's the best wrestling show I've ever seen live in my life.
Yeah. All In. Dude, that crowd was just the atmosphere. That whole weekend, dude. There was just something special in the air in that atmosphere for that show. Like, I know AEW fans are, hot every week, but
It's never been like All In.
That show, like literally from the pre-show, from the Battle Royal to the ending of that 6-man tag, that crowd was just electric and loud, and just there was just an energy. There was hope for something different besides WWE, and that was best show ever been to.
The worst wrestling show I've ever been to was like probably the last GC or Tampa Bay Pro show that I went to in St. Petersburg.
No,
Florida.
bro, that show was not as bad as that one. That ICW was it ICW or no?
Oh God, yeah, we went to an ICW hardcore show at the Cuban Club in Town and Country, Florida. That show sucked,
bro. That was horrible. That was the worst wrestling show I've ever been to.
Just to put in perspective for you guys, the headlining match of the show, which ended up not being the main event, even though it was advertised as such, it ended up going on in the middle of the card, was Gangrel versus Haku in 2019.
Oh my god.
Also, we should hit up Hikaleo, see if he wants to come on the show, because he said he would.
Yeah, we did talk to Hikaleo that night.
Times are tough. But that show, you guys can look it up on Cage Match. I'm sure you can find it, but it was bad. Bad. I've been to quite a few bad indie shows and quite a few great ones.
Yeah. Best and worst matches. I mean, just thinking from All In, that Kenny and Pentagon match.
Is that the best match you've ever seen in your life?
I'm just thinking from like live show.
Live?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the best match I've seen live, and I didn't think so at the time, but so many people are convinced it was like this otherworldly match, was probably Gargano and Cole from TakeOver in New York last year.
Yeah, which is weird because, I mean, it was a great match, but that night, like, I felt like I liked Walter and Pete Dunne better.
Well, I felt like I liked the Velveteen Dream match the best on that card, which no one agrees with me. So I don't remember who he wrestled that night, but
was it Aleister Black? No, Aleister Black.
Yeah,
no,
he was in the tag team.
Yeah, he's
match.
a Ricochet. Who did
it might have been Matt Riddle.
Yeah, it was Riddle, I think. Yeah,
I think I really liked that match. I mean, I don't know. Some really great matches I've seen was Zack Sabre and Ishii from Rev Pro.
Yeah. Bandito and Ospreay from the WrestleCon Super Show.
Will Ospreay versus Bandito from WrestleCon the year before. No, from the WWN Super Show from the year before.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I've seen some really great shows.
The Riddle and Ospreay match we saw at Mercury Rising.
That's what I just said, didn't I?
You said Bandito.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Matt Riddle versus Will Ospreay. Okada versus Jay White at G1 Supercard last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some really, really, really great cards live, like over the years, honestly.
The ladder match from Supercard of Honor from New Orleans.
I mean, I still really love Cody versus Kenny Omega from that card. I know people didn't love it, but I loved it. I don't care. That match fucking rules.
Trying to think if there's anything else that kind of. I mean, we saw. Okada and Tanahashi. G1 in Dallas.
I mean, I've seen some really incredible matches just here at NXT. I saw a really notable match between Velveteen Dream, Roderick Strong, and who they had a match. It was a three-way. It was Roderick Strong, Velveteen Dream, and someone else. It was a three-way for the North American title.
Keith Lee?
It might have been Keith Lee. Yeah. And we saw it like in Minreg Hall for like $7.
Yeah.
And it rolled.
One of the first Largo Loop matches I can remember that was really great. Pac versus Balor versus Hideo Itami, Kenta. That was an awesome match.
Bro, at FIP, John Davis versus Darby Allin was incredible.
Yeah.
Where Darby Allin jumped off the top of the building onto him, like just incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen some really great live matches.
His next question was, if his career didn't come to an early ending, where would Shibata be in the pecking order of NJPW? Where would he have been would he have been the one to end Okada's 2-year reign? Would it have been Shibata and Tanahashi, or Wrestle Kingdom 12 instead of White versus Tanahashi? Would he have won the G1 by now?
Well, I thought that year's G1 was going to be his year. It's all speculation, but that's what it felt like to me anyways. I mean, it's all speculation. I think that everything that you have proposed could have possibly happened. Maybe none of it would have happened. As far as in the pecking order, I think once people left and Shibata would have still been there and would have been one of the best performers in the company, he'd probably have a higher role than he had previously. I don't know where it would be. That's all I can really say. I mean, it's sort of like, Shibata's injury is very similar to like the Magnum TA injury. It's like, what would it have meant? Probably a lot, but we don't really know.
Yeah, it's such a difficult thing to even think about. And, if, that IWGP title match with Okada, that kind of elevated him out of like the Never division. And I felt like from there, he would have been competing for the IWGP title. He would have been competing for the IC title. He would have been in these kind of top, main event to my main event spots against the really top guys. Obviously, we'll never know, but I kind of feel like that's the direction they were going in with him.
And then, and I think you bring in some great points there, Jeremy. His next question, thoughts on what direction will New Japan go in when they're finally able to get back to running shows? Are we in for some major shakeups?
Yeah, I mean, we don't, honestly, we have no idea what kind of shakeups are going to happen. We don't know what Gato has planned. We don't know if he's going to stick with the plan, scrap the plan, go in a new direction. It's kind of hard to say. Like you mentioned, Josh, I do think the first big show, we could get like a New Year's Dash type of show where we kind of reset the playing field and kind of get stories going forward for the remainder of the year. Obviously, if they start back up, anytime soon, I mean, the direction's going to be leading to Wrestle Dynasty. Obviously, it's a big show. I feel like they're going to make that card even bigger than Dominion. So I feel like all their efforts and storylines and booking is going to be leading into Wrestle Dynasty and making that a blowaway show.
I think at this point, because everything is so up in the air, maybe they're allowed to do a show, and the direction of that show depends entirely on what kind of what's the word? Like basically assurances are made for them. Are we going to be able to continue to run consistently after this, or is this a one-time show and then after that we don't know? Because that entirely changes the complexion of the show. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If it's a one-night show, then it's a one-night show. If it's something that's going to feed into future shows and they know they have guarantees of that, then that's different. So it's really hard to say, but I think either way, Gato has his his plate pretty full when it comes to booking the future of the company, basically.
Yeah.
The next question is, with Dick Pound postponing, and did you hear, was this official?
So I don't know if it's official, but I did hear that Dick Pound did say today, I knew that the Canada team was supposed to be pulling out, but then he said,
I heard that.
He said in comments that the Olympics would be postponed until 2021.
And the question is, with Dick Pound postponing the 2020 Summer Olympics to 2021, how will this affect both 2020 and 2021 G1 Climax? And the short answer is we don't know. We don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe Corona like clears up. Maybe the G1 happens as regularly scheduled and everything changes, or maybe the G1 runs later in the year for the next 2 years. I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, for this year, if it gets postponed, if this is really happening, I don't think it's going to affect the schedule this year. I think they're going to stick with their G1 schedule for this year, and shouldn't really. I mean, the only thing that will affect, I think, it'll probably maybe better attendance with people not going to the Olympics over G1. But yeah, I don't know how it'll affect 2021.
And final question from him: thoughts on Tom Brady joining the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Me and Jeremy don't watch football. I watch college ball. I think, Jeremy, you don't watch any football, right?
Not really. I mean, if somebody invites me over to something, I will. But yeah, I don't ever really watch football on my own free time.
I mean, I'm a Michigan fan, so Brady threw for us, so obviously there is some affinity for him because of that. But I'm not going to be one of these fair weather fans that jumps on and is like, yo, I always love Tampa Bay.
Right, yeah.
Yada, yada. Like, the reality is I'm not going to watch Tampa Bay play unless, like, here's the reality. If they go to the Super Bowl, I'll show up at the Super Bowl party, get the free wings and chill. But that's about it. Like, I really could care less. Like, I'm not really a big NFL fan at all.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, same here. Like I could care less. Like it's not a big deal to me. So.
I mean, it's a big deal to people in Tampa if that's what
right.
Is that official? Did it happen?
Yeah, it's official. Like, he's signed, and yeah, I've been just seeing memes and people celebrating all these people I never knew watch football. All of a sudden, are like, oh yeah.
Here's the thing. When I did watch football, I fucking hated the Patriots. So I had like a love-hate because it's like Tom Brady threw for Michigan, but he's a bitch ass. But I hate, and I hate, freaking New England. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed that they're giving up a bunch of Jameis Winston or whatever his name is.
Jameis
I
Winston.
get it. Jameis Winston, whatever. It's fine. I don't care. I like to focus on the real sport, which is pro wrestling.
Yeah. Last set of questions.
Although we should throw this question over to One Nation Radio because they're real sports fans and they care. And you know what?
Well, Rich doesn't watch NFL anymore. He's been on the strike for like 3 years now.
I know he is, but he can still like talk sports all day with James and Floyd can too, and probably most of the guys in Social Suplex. We're like the two caveats, the two guys who just don't give a fuck about NFL.
Dude, once they start talking about sports in the thread, I'm like, man.
I get pissed. Like Caleb be throwing up some MLB or NFL shit, and I'm like, why aren't y'all talking about OTT? Like, I don't get this shit.
Oh my gosh. Last few questions here from Muzza. So he says, how are you guys doing since the last episode? And the funny thing is, he's asking this like he doesn't talk to us every day in the Social Suplex thread.
Yeah, but it's not like I'm like freely like offering up like statuses on my whereabouts and my well-being. Like you live with me, you don't even know where I am half the time.
That's true.
So to answer your question, Muzza, I am doing fine.
Yep, we're practicing some social distancing for this episode.
We're distancing from each other.
You're in the what do we call that? The remote studio.
I'm in parts unknown.
Yeah, you're in the parts unknown studio this week. I'm here at the dojo.
No, in all honesty, I have not been tested, but I am awaiting some tests that will be coming back very shortly. Just to kind of like, just as a cautionary thing. But to be honest with you, I feel fine. I've been taking my temperature. 98 degrees, no cough, no fever, no nothing. Doesn't mean I don't have any sort of infection, but I'm working from home. I'm eating some good food. I probably need to focus on studying for my financial, licensing test, and maybe focus on bettering myself through working out, which has been kind of hard. But other than that, I've been fine.
Yeah, and I've been fine also. Also been working from home this week and probably till the foreseeable future. Been doing my best to kind of social distance and, obviously been, everything else, doing church online and pretty much everything else has been online and talking to people through the phone or in Google Hangouts and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I will tell you this, though. Me and Jeremy worked from home together for about 3 or 4 days, and I was like, oh, it's going to be great. We're going to, put on wrestling in the background. We're going to be, chilling together. It's going to be awesome. And it's like, nah. Jeremy, what I found about Jeremy is that Jeremy cannot multitask. So I, try to talk to him, and he'd, kind of acknowledge me and then go right back to what he's doing. I'm like, fuck. I'm here all on my own. Jeremy doesn't want to chill with me.
Yeah, man. When I get in the middle of a project, man, I can't break the focus or I'll totally lose or forget where I was and just completely just forget everything I was doing.
Jeremy's out here talking. He cares more about the people he works with. He's talking to them on the phone. And then after he gets off the phone, I'm like, yo, I was listening to this podcast. Something really funny happened. And Jeremy's like, oh, that's cool. No, but, I totally get it because I'm the same way. I think I'm not good at multitasking either, so it was kind of weird. We were working together in the same room, but we were miles apart. There's just such a rift between us.
Yeah, coronavirus.
Yeah, Corona.
Putting a rift.
Corona's tearing our family apart.
Oh my gosh. His next question.
So let's go to the next.
He says, how badly is WrestleMania going to suck?
I don't know, man. I saw that they're announcing some matches. I don't even follow WWE, but they're announcing some matches. I kind of know what's always going on in WWE, even though I don't watch it. And they're like, Aleister Black against Bobby Lashley. And I was like, why?
Right, yeah. Yeah, dude, this is just...
I'm actually really excited for this year's WrestleMania. This is the most excited I've been for a WrestleMania in years, just to see what the fuck this even is. Nothing they're doing makes sense. They're giving away the network for free. What the fuck? They're throwing matches on there that don't make sense. This shit's wild, bro. I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I don't know how good it's gonna be. I mean, we've seen the No People Gate shows they've done so far with Raw and SmackDown and NXT, and so I guess based on those shows, I don't think it's gonna be really good at all.
Yep. I mean, I think it might be interesting, but I just don't know what to expect.
Yeah. And this last question: which current WWE wrestler who has never been in New Japan would you most want? I could say for me, Drew McIntyre. His size and style could see him as a IC and world title contender.
Well, I am going to the cage match just to double verify, and I feel very confident. He has spent quite a bit of time in Japan, but he never worked for New Japan. So my answer will be the same answer I give every time I'm asked this question. Cesaro. I think Cesaro is the prototypical perfect fit for New Japan Pro Wrestling from a working style. He's never worked for New Japan, and I think he would be incredible in New Japan. And my dream match was always Cesaro versus Shibata, and it will never happen.
Yeah, I think Cesaro, he was always one of my favorite guys in Ring of Honor and then obviously in WWE, and just the incredible things that he can do. And with his style, definitely a perfect fit into the New Japan style.
We have the same answer. It's both Cesaro.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. I don't think, has Aleister Black ever been in? I don't know if Aleister Black's done any Japan. Maybe he's done Japan, but I don't know if he's done New Japan before.
I'll look him up by his free name, which was Tommy End.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna look him up by his slave name.
Yeah, we don't have to call him by the slave name here on Keeping It Strong Style.
No, he never worked New Japan.
Yeah, I think Tommy Yen would be a great addition in New Japan. His heavy strike base style, I think would be a nice welcome addition.
And I think you'll be pleased with both those answers, Muzza, since they are both European answers.
All right, well, now it's time for the main event segment here. So like I mentioned at the top of the show, we're doing some fantasy booking here. So we're doing AEW versus New Japan Super Show, and this will be a competition. So I have my card. Josh has his card. Floyd and Amy will be putting together their cards on this coming up week.
So Amy's doing it too?
Yeah, that's what Floyd said to me today.
I was hoping it would be Amy because I love Amy, and I know that she is a big fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, like, I'm very interested to see both the cards that she and Floyd can put in. Although, I will say this, like, at the end of the day, they're both AEW marks, and AEW, New Japan, not quite the same balance of talent, but no, I'm just playing. But I'm very excited to see what kind of cards we all came up with. I will say this before we continue. I fucking hate fantasy booking. I think that I have literally curbed all fantasy booking questions from this show for the most part, because every time we get one, I like shit on the questioner for even asking us one. And it's not because those are bad questions, but it's because I personally hate answering fantasy booking questions. And it's not because they're not good. It's because I suck at them, and I don't like doing things I'm not good at. And when Jeremy made me do a fantasy booking card, I was like, fuck. I've been stressed out for like a few hours before the show trying to put together a good AEW versus New Japan show. This has been a very stressful time for me. Like, I hate this.
And on the other end, I love fantasy booking and coming up with my own cards and storylines.
I already know Jeremy's card's gonna be better than mine. Like, he's much better at it than I am.
So the rules. So we have one pre-match and then 10 matches on the main card. And so we'll each say our cards, and then after All Things Elite this coming Saturday, we'll throw it up for a vote and have you vote out of the 4 cards who had the best AEW versus NJPW card. So we'll go back and forth here until we get to our main event. So we'll start at the pre-show. Young boy, what do you have for your pre-show?
So my pre-show match, and just to be clear, my show is taking place in the Dome, in the Tokyo Dome, in Japan. It's just gonna be called, I don't know what it's gonna be called. It's the AEW. No, I know what it's gonna be called. The AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling Summit. And the opening match is a New Japan Rambo. And it is a 30-man Rambo. The following participants, which once I name them, they will not be participating on my main card. It will be as follows. In order, Colt Cabana, followed by Lance Archer, followed by Daniels, followed by El Phantasmo, MJF, Finley, Janela, Ishimori, Yo, Shima, Fale, Kazarian, Evil, Luchasaurus, Sonata, Show, Ortiz, Desperado, Matt Hardy, Juice, Santana, Brody Lee, Ryu Lee, Scorpio Sky, Jeff Cobb, Chase Owens, Tama Tonga, Jimmy Havoc, Toriano, and Ryosuke Taguchi.
Wow, that's a stacked rumble there.
This will be the greatest Rambo in the history of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm thinking something very akin to the Battle Royal that they ran at All Out, or I'm sorry, at All In, but booked even better because it's got great talent from New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I don't know, who do you think wins here?
I don't know. You got a lot of interesting guys, a lot of top to mid card guys in both promotions there. I'll go Lance Archer.
Archer's not a bad pick. I'm gonna say MJF wins this.
Okay, it's a good pick there.
Just because I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So for my pre-show, I did think about doing some kind of Rumble or Rambo. But I had a match planned, and because you mentioned when we were kind of talking about this that you were going to put a women's match on your main card, and I was like, well, then I got to put a women's match on my main card. So I bumped something that I had on my main card onto the pre-show. So my pre-show opening match is going to be Private Party versus Proud and Powerful versus El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori versus Roppongi 3K in a fatal four-way for the IWGP Junior Tag Team titles.
Wow, that's pretty lofty. I will tell you this. I have left off the junior titles from my card, as evidenced by the inclusion of the Owen Show in my Rambo. So there will be no junior title match, junior tag team title match on my main card, but pretty incredible. With that being the case, have you picked a location and a name for your show, sir?
I did not. I didn't know we were going that in depth into it.
I went that in depth, sir.
Let's see. Well, since your show is taking place in Japan, I will do my show in the U.S.
Is it a dome show or an arena show?
We'll do I'll do it in Madison Square Garden.
All right, nice. So who's going over there?
So I'm going to have Roppongi 3K retain the titles here.
And who are the teams again?
Private Party, Proud and Powerful, ELP and Taiji, and then Roppongi 3K.
I left Private Party off my card. One of the big exclusions of my card, and I felt bad about it, but I left them off.
Yeah, as we get through my card, you'll see there's a lot of exclusions that I've kind of left out, but it's hard to fit everybody on the card if you're trying not to do a bunch of multi-man matches.
Now, as a preface, I will say this. I tried to make this card as realistic as possible.
Same here.
A couple things for me. My champions are the same champions that we have right now.
Same here.
I haven't changed any of the champions, and I could have easily, we could have easily just done Omega Okada right off the bat, headline. I didn't do that. I went with things that I thought were realistic, things that were attainable, and things that, given the politics of the situation, things that could actually be done.
Same here.
So let's open up the show.
All right. So what's your opening match?
So the opening match of the Pro Wrestling Summit 2020 is a four-way match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Hiromu Takahashi defending the belt against Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy, and Robbie Eagles.
Nice. Starting off with a hot junior opener there.
Yes. And we have a new champion in Robbie Eagles.
I like that.
I haven't picked any champion. I literally have not booked winners, but I'm gonna just do it on the fly as we
Yeah,
go.
I didn't book winners either, but yeah, I'll book on the fly also here.
Okay.
All right. So the opening match for Resolution, that's my show name, the AEW versus NJPW Resolution.
It's not resolution, it's resolution.
Yes.
WRESTLOS.
That was going to be the big show for our backyard promotion. That was supposed to be our big pay-per-view Resolution.
For GUW?
Yeah. we never got to it, but we had some big plans for that card.
Resolution, that's great.
So the opening match for Resolution is going to be a 6-man tag. It's going to be Los Ingobernables de Japón of Evil, Sonata, and Shingo versus the Death Triangle of the Lucha Bros and Pac.
That is an incredible match. I love that match.
And as far as who's going over, I think I'm going to have the Death Triangle get the win here.
Wow. Who's taking that pinfall?
Evil.
So my second match of the night, working their way up from the pre-show all the way to the main card, we have a special women's showcase match. We have a 8-woman tag team match, the women of AEW versus the women of Stardom. We have the team of Nyla Rose, Hikaru Shida, Riho, and Chris Statlander taking on the faction known as Stars. We have Mayu Iwatani, Arisa Hoshiki, Tam Nakano, and Starlight Kid.
That's a pretty entertaining match right there.
I'm not going to lie. I reached out to Rich and James for help with this.
Oh my gosh.
And we have the team of AEW going over the team of Stars with Nyla Rose picking up the win over Starlight Kid. Seems pretty realistic, right?
Yeah. So the
top booker.
The second match on my card is a Haas match between the Stone Pit Bull, Tomohiro Ishii, and the Exalted One, Brody Lee.
Wow. What a match. That would be freaking incredible. I'm not going to lie. I've got Ishii here on this card, but he's not in a singles match, but I wanted him to be in one. But if he was going to be in one, that's a great one to do.
And the Stone Pit Bull is going to go over here and defeat the Exalted One.
Well, he's jobbed enough for a lifetime, so that's not too bad. I love the if you guys haven't seen the meme, there was someone who put out a meme this week that said social distancing explained, and it was a picture of Tomohiro Ishii next to the IWGP title.
That was sad.
That got me in my feels.
Yeah. All right, third match on your card, sir.
So the third match of the night, we have a 6-man tag team match between the team of Suzuki-gun, Minoru Suzuki, Taichi, and Zack Sabre Jr., taking on the team of the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. We never got the match between Suzuki and Cassidy during WrestleMania weekend, so I figured we'd make up for it here at the Pro Wrestling Summit. And believe it or not, Best Friends and Orange Cassidy are going to pick up the win here.
Wow. Who's taking the fall there?
Taichi.
Eating the Strong Zero?
He's eating something. I don't know what he's eating, but he's losing.
Nice.
And I don't know if that's actually how I'd book it. It probably should be a Suzuki. You know what? I'm going to change that. Suzuki lands the Gotch style pile driver on Orange Cassidy, picks up the 1, 2, 3. All
right.
Fuck you, Orange Cassidy. But this match would be plenty of comedy. I mean, think about all the players involved. You've got Strong Style like alumni in the sense of Suzuki, Taichi, and Sabre, but you got the comedy element of Best Friends and Cassidy, plus Best Friends who worked in New Japan before. So all the combustible elements for a great undercard 6-man tag team match, but Suzuki will overcome.
Yeah. So I think that's the right call there.
Yeah.
Then for the third match on my card will be my women's showcase match, and this will be a double.
Oh! You're so woke. You value women more than me. You got third from.
And this is a double title match for the AEW Women's title and for the World of Wonder title from Stardom.
Oh my God!
So it will be Nyla Rose versus Hikaru Shida versus Mayu Iwatani versus Momo Watanabe. Fatal 4-way elimination style. Last woman standing is your double Stardom and AEW Women's Champion.
So you're stealing some shit from ECW.
Yeah.
I love when fatal 4-ways and triple threats have elimination rules. It makes it much better.
Yeah, 4-way dance.
The 4-way dance. So you're booking a 4-way dance for the double title.
Yes, and I'm going to have Hikaru Shida be the sole survivor and the woman holding both those titles.
Wow, you've changed the landscape of wrestling, Jeremy Donovan.
I did.
That's a pretty cool match. I like my Stars versus the All Stars of AEW match, but you picked a pretty good match there.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to overcome my fourth from the top match here, though.
All right.
For the Never title, Shingo Takagi defending the Never Openweight title against Darby Allin.
Oh, my gosh. That is a crazy match. Dude, Darby was bouncing all over, bumping like crazy for Shingo.
Darby Allin has a death wish. Shingo has a death warrant. It is a fight to the death, with Shingo Takagi retaining the title at 15 minutes.
Nice. Man, we get to see the Shingo big man offense.
Yep.
All right, so my fourth match on my show is a tag team match. Non-title affair. It will be representing AEW, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, taking on Dangerous Tekkers, Zack Sabre Jr. and Tai Chi.
Oh, what a... Okay, if you were to pick any regular tag team like from New Japan Pro Wrestling to put on a great match, that's like at the top of the list right there.
Yeah, it was hard. I was like, who do I put against the Bucks? Like, they've already faced, like, Evil and Sonata and G.O.D. It's like, who do I put against these guys? Like, you got to have the Bucks on the card somewhere.
Absolutely.
So I was like...
I thought about Roppongi 3K, and I was like, they've done that already. They've done, so many of these matches. You got to give them something fresh.
Yeah, so something fresh. Sabre and Tai Chi, great team, and they can really go out there and put on a hell of a match with the Bucks, and... I'm going to have Dangerous Tekkers pull up the upset here.
Holy shit.
And defeat the Young Bucks.
Who's taking... Well, obviously Matt's taking the pinfall or the submission loss, but how is this happening, sir?
I'm thinking Black Zack Driver onto
oh my God,
Matt Jackson.
All right, well, you might have outdone me, but we'll see. My fifth match of the night. We have the Young Bucks taking on the tag team of Kenta and Jay White. We have a storyline of Kenta and Jay White being the so-called quote-unquote leaders of the Bullet Club, taking on the originators, the original leaders of the Bullet Club in the Young Bucks. It's a built-in storyline. It's great. It gets, the top guys in Kenta and Jay White, guys that I did not want to use at the top of my card, on the card. There's some people who are probably looking at that saying like, oh man, the Bucks are going to be held down. Nope. Kenta and White got their working shoes on. They're going to go, pace for pace with the Young Bucks. This match is going to be fucking great. And I got the Bucks going over.
Nice.
Going over Kenta.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, Melter Driver.
Melter Driver.
Nice. All right, so for me, my next match will be for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. The champion, Hiromu Takahashi, will defend the title one-on-one against Darby Allin.
Oh, geez. Well, take everything I said about the match with Shingo, subtract Shingo, put in Hiromu. You've got a different kind of crazy fucking spot fest.
Yeah, these guys are going to go ball for the wall, flat neck bumps, dives, coffin drops, sentons off the apron to the outside.
I can tell you, I've seen Darby Allin work a couple matches, and I saw one live, him against Black Taurus, and it was fucking insane. So Darby's no stranger to Lucha Libre, and when you put him in there with a guy that's a seasoned in Lucha Libre style as Hiromu, that match would be fucking incredible.
All right, so what is... Oh, and Hiromu is retaining the title here.
Okay. Now, I've got a fucking banger for you, Jeremy.
All right.
We have a 6-man tag team match. The Death Triangle, Pac, fucking Pentagon, and Phoenix taking on the team of Chaos, Tomohiro Ishii, Goto, and Yoshihashi.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I didn't want to throw Hashi in there, but I kind of had to. But when I thought to myself, I was like, I'd love to see Ishii and Pentagon mix it up. But I didn't want to waste Pac. I didn't want to waste Pentagon. And I thought to myself, you know what? I got 10 matches. Let's fucking run it. Death Triangle versus Chaos.
I like that. Who's going over?
Believe it or not, Chaos is going over in this case.
With Ray Phoenix taking the fall?
Ray Phoenix is taking the fucking fall. He's going to eat a GTR and go to sleep.
Nice.
I could say, Brainbuster from Ishii, but that's a little too on the nose. So Goto's going to hit with the GTR 1, 2, 3, and we're off to the races.
Nice.
In one of the best 6-man tags you've ever seen in your life.
All right, so the next match on my card it's going to be kind of a sleeper. You're going to hear this and maybe scratch your head, and people are going to be like, why'd he book this? But my next matchup, it's going to be Switchblade Jay White, 1-on-1 with freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy.
Wait, what's the match?
Switchblade Jay White against freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy.
All right, explain yourself.
So I really enjoyed the Pac and Orange Cassidy match from Revolution. And I'm taking that same kind of formula where you have the bully heel who doesn't want to deal with Cassidy's shenanigans, and it's going to force Cassidy to actually try and wrestle. And so kind of the same kind of format, Jay White, bullying Cassidy throughout the match, kind of taking the advantage until, Cassidy turns up, starts hitting, topes and hurricane ranas and head scissors and kind of this back and forth match. And then you can have plenty of shenanigans. You have your ref bump, best friends come out, Bullet Club come out. There's this whole crazy smoz, a lot of near falls on Jay White. You think Orange Cassidy's going to pull the upset, but in the end, Jay will hit the Blade Runner, and Jay White will defeat Orange Cassidy.
I like it.
It gets Jay a lot of heat for beating one of the most over guys in AEW, and it'll be one of the most loudest reactions of the whole night, with the fans really wanting Orange Cassidy to beat Jay White.
Now, we are at a point where our two cards are fucking raw. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I think the fans are going to have a hard time voting between our two cards, no lie. Like, unfortunately for us, Amy and why do I forget names?
Floyd.
Dude, I forget the names of like wrestlers. I forget our names. Like, I always forget names. Floyd. Those two are going to have a chance to listen to the show and cultivate better cards than us, but they're going to have a tough time doing it.
It's not going to be a walk in the park.
But let's go to the 7th match. So I've got a match that is chock full of history, as the AEW Tag Team Champions Kenny Omega and Hangman Page take on the New Japan Pro Wrestling IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions in the Golden Aces.
Guess
Kota
what?
Ibushi and Hiroshi Tanahashi.
That is also my 7th match. Golden Aces versus Hangman and Omega. Both titles on the line.
So I thought to myself, Kenny's the top guy. You could easily put him in either an AEW title match. You could throw him into an IWGP title match. But I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to keep the titles as they are. And, if you weren't going to put him in a title match, what's the one feud that makes the most sense from a storytelling standpoint? It is him and Kota Ibushi. And with the fact that Kota Ibushi is the current reigning tag team champion in New Japan, he's the current tag team champion in AEW, it just makes all the sense in the world. Throw in the fact that there's bad blood between Kenny and Tanahashi, the last guy that he faced for the IWGP title at Wrestle Kingdom last year. Plus, there's history between Hangman and Tanahashi, where Tanahashi wanted to save him from the Bullet Club and, bring him over to the Hantai army. There's just a lot of built-in history here. Not only that, but like the match that Kenny and Hangman had very recently with the Young Bucks and all the history that played into the Bucks versus the Golden Lovers. There's just a lot of built-in history to this match. I'm not surprised you're doing it because it's the same match I'm doing.
Yeah,
And
makes
go
a
ahead.
lot. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I did think about throwing the Young Bucks in there to make it a triple threat, but I'm like, nah. I think it'd be a better story with just a straight up tag match.
Absolutely. Plus, there's the fact that like Kenny and Hangman have had some some issues between them. There's like a bit of animosity there. They're not like completely both members of the Elite anymore. But Hangman has a long history in New Japan Pro Wrestling. This match, 7th from the top, is going to get a lot of play, a lot of like crowd reaction, and Hangman's kind of playing Kota Ibushi at this point to Kenny's, Kenny Omega. So it's sort of like he's filling in for Kota Ibushi over in AEW at this point. So like it makes so much sense on paper. Now I will tell you this: in my universe, this is a non-title match. It is champ versus champ, but the winner does not take the other champion's title.
Gotcha. Mine's double titles, both belts on the line.
No titles on the line. This is for pride only. And believe it or not, Kenny and Hangman are going to beat the Golden Aces.
That's the finish I had too.
With Tanahashi taking the fall. Tanahashi is going to eat the loss to Hangman Page.
Wow. Gonna put Hangman over there.
Hangman is going fucking over huge to fulfill, and that leaves the door open for future Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega matches down the line. So nothing emphatic between those two. But Hangman fulfills his destiny in New Japan by beating the ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
I like that.
And I like it too. What did you have in mind?
I have Ibushi actually taking the fall, kind of continuing the storyline of him kind of being on a losing streak and kind of on the downfall there. So I'm going to have a Hangman Page be the main one to kind of get the fall there, and a situation where like Kenny is kind of like, all right, like you don't have to hit another finisher on him, but he's like, nah, gets him up, hits the dead eye right in front of Kenny and pins him. 1, 2, 3.
Is that his finisher, the Deadeye?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the finisher he's hitting on Tanahashi, but I like your story too. So at this point, for those of you who are keeping track, I'm at 4-4. New Japan has 4 wins. AEW has 4 wins. We got 3 more matches to go. If this were the 1995 Starrcade card between New Japan and WCW, we have 3 more deciding matches to figure out who is the World Cup winner between America and Japan.
Let's see here. I have 1, 2, 34, 5 for New Japan right now.
Wow.
And then I got 1, 2, 3 for AEW right now.
So this is where we get a little bit outlandish, but we will see where we go from here. So for the 8th match of the night, I have a singles title match as the Rev Pro British heavyweight title is on the line. Will Ospreay defending against Le Champion, Chris Jericho.
Bro, that is the same match I have for my 8th match.
I have a weird feeling that like the last 4 matches we have the same fucking card.
Yeah.
So I have Chris Jericho against Will Ospreay. Chris Jericho has talked publicly about what opponents he wants to face. Will Ospreay is one of those opponents. Jericho has been involved in the IWGP, the IC title, and the AEW title picture. So I wanted to kind of get him involved in a title that he's never been involved with and get him involved with a challenger that he has never really fought before in the champion Will Ospreay. And this is a match that I thought would really, really deliver because of Jericho's. You know, it's hard when you have guys like Jericho and Mox who are dual members of both AEW and New Japan.
Yeah.
So in this case, I want to put him up against Will Ospreay, and I thought this match would just really, really, really deliver on paper. What were your thoughts?
Dude, you pretty much got all my thoughts there. Like we've heard Jericho saying he wants to wrestle Ospreay. I think those two styles kind of mesh and match up. You got Le Champion, this the heel in Jericho coming out with the Inner Circle. You have the valiant babyface in Will Ospreay, who's now a heavyweight and looking to prove himself as a top heavyweight in the world.
And also keep in mind, Jake Hagar was not involved in My Rambo, but he will be accompanying Chris Jericho in the Dome to face Will Ospreay at the Pro Wrestling Summit.
Yeah, I'm going to have Hager and Sammy G out with Jericho.
Oh, my God. And on this night, Chris Jericho will reign supreme.
Bro, that's exactly – I was thinking the same thing. Judas Effect.
Judas Effect, Chris Jericho. No, not only just a Judas Effect. It's a fucking Ospreay Os cutter.
Oh, my God.
Into a Judas Effect.
Oh my gosh, bro!
It's an Os cutter off the top rope into a Judas Effect for the 1, 2, 3.
Bro, it doesn't get any better than that. I don't have a finish that's better than that.
Chris Jericho, the new reigning Rev Pro British Heavyweight Champion, Le Champion of Le British. All right, so that's both of our 8th match of the night. Yeah,
so I want to say my 9th match first, just in case it's your 9th match. But it might be your main event depending on how you put the weight on these titles.
I think it's my main event.
So my number 9 match is for the double IWGP title.
Mine is for the IWGP title as well.
It is Naito defending against Cody.
That's my 9th match.
Oh man.
Holy shit. So I know we have the same 10th match.
Yeah, we do.
All right. So Naito versus Cody is my double title match, the 9th match of the night.
Yeah,
I think that once we announce our 10th match of the night, it will make all the sense in the world. Why would we devalue the double title as the 9th match of the night?
Right. Clearly, there's one big New Japan guy neither of us said it yet, and we both obviously see him as the main eventer of this card.
Yes.
But Naito's still a big star. Cody's a big star. We need a top spot for both those guys. So I was thinking, hey, Cody's challenged for the title before in the past against Okada at Long Beach. Let's give him another shot, this time against Naito.
My thinking here, Naito, the top star in New Japan Pro Wrestling at the current time, the double champion, taking on the week in and week out Triple H entrance recipient in Cody Rhodes. This man comes out in AEW, gets the biggest pyro every single week, gets the biggest reception. He's the biggest star in AEW. And I thought to myself, Cody, big star in New Japan, maybe not like the biggest star, but a pretty big star. And I mean, you think of the guys he's had big matches with: Okada, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Juice Robinson, all sorts of guys. But him and Naito, I don't think they ever locked it up.
Yeah.
And, Cody's had a shot at the IWGP title before against Okada in Long Beach, but he never had a shot against Naito. And for the double title, it makes all the sense in the world. So I totally see why we both ended up with the same match. I'm just so surprised we have the same order of matches, which is fucking weird.
Yeah. So who do you have going over?
I have Tetsuya Naito retaining the double championship against Cody in a barn burner. And I do know that there's some people who are looking at this and they're like, Cody, great on the mic, great worker, but maybe not up to the New Japan working style. Naito kind of down. But I think given the circumstances, given the stakes at that are at play here, this match actually could end up being a really, really good match. I'm going to go 4.25 on Naito and Cody in the semi-main event. And I mean, just an incredible match.
I'm having double juice in my match with these guys.
Double juice. Me too. You know what? I'm going to up the ante right here on the air. I didn't book this, but we're going to go no DQ.
All right. But I'm having Cody defeat Naito. He can no longer be AEW champion, so he's going to become the double IWGP champion. Big title change, and that ties my score up with AEW and NJPW 5-5.
I'm gonna go with Naito winning because it ties everything up for me. New Japan against AEW 5-5.
So now
Naito is not losing the double title in Tokyo. There's no fucking way. Maybe in Madison Square Garden, but we're not in Madison Square Garden, bitch. we're in the fucking dome, and Naito's gonna hit him with that Destino, and fucking Kevin Kelly's gonna be losing his mind. Who's the
Excalibur?
What's the commentator for ROH? I'm sorry, it's not ROH anymore, is it?
No.
Okay, so who would be if we're doing an AEW versus New Japan? What's it called? Like if we're doing the commentating team, who's the commentators? It's obviously Kevin Kelly.
Yeah. Kevin Kelly, Excalibur. Like if I was doing it, I would do Kevin Kelly.
It's probably gotta be JR.
Right. Like if this was happening in a realistically, like JR would be on. It would be like Kevin Kelly, JR, Excalibur, and maybe Gino. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, JR is gonna lose his fucking mind as Naito beats Cody.
Well, in my universe, we are in Madison Square Garden. We are in the States, and Cody's going to hit that crossroads. Arn Anderson's going to have the playbook. Arn Anderson's been studying Naito and LIJ. He's got the plan set for Cody, and we're going to get a reversal of the Destino into the crossroads, and Cody's going to get a huge win and be double champion.
In my universe, MJF is going to have won the Rambo and cost Cody his title reign. And after the match is over, Naito's going to be, calling for the golden roll call. And you're going to have, Shingo come out and Hiromu come out and Bushi and Sonata and Evil. And while they're doing the golden roll call, fucking Sonata's going to hit him with a finisher. And it's going to be a new finisher that he's never, ever displayed before.
Nice.
Setting up a future title shot between Sonata and Naito. And it's going to break up LIJ.
Wow.
Or at least cause some confusion about what the future of LIJ even will be.
I like that.
And you know who's going to come out to save him?
Yeah.
Really?
I like that.
So we're at 5-5. So what is the main event, Jeremy Donovan?
So the main event for both of our cards that I'm guessing here is it's for the AEW title as Jon Moxley will be defending against Kazuchika Okada.
That is the exact main event that I have for my card. The ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Kazuchika Okada, the true reigning top guy of the company, taking on the defending main event of AEW, Jon Moxley, a guy. And again, Jon Moxley, you take a look at everyone he's faced in the company. I'm not surprised we ended up with the same main event because what bigger match could you have? You've got Mox, who is not only the reigning AEW champion, but also the reigning IWGP US Heavyweight Champion. He's a double champion across both companies. And he's faced almost every top guy in this company except for Kazuchika Okada. They've tagged together. They've never fought one another. And is there a bigger match for that title for Moxley in New Japan other than Kazuchika Okada? I poise to you that there is not.
Yeah, I think that's what you have to do. I think that's the biggest draw. That's the money match. Like you mentioned, Mox and Okada haven't touched one-on-one. That's the money match there.
Here's the only reason that I see this as being able to headline in the Dome. Kazuchika Okada's fucking going over.
Well, Kazuchika Okada's also going over in my universe at Madison Square Garden, putting New Japan at 6 and taking the AEW title. So at the end of the day, we have a New Japan contracted wrestler with the AEW world title, and then we have an AEW contracted wrestler with the double IWGP titles, continuing the brand supremacy between both these companies going forward.
So my thinking here is this. I love the way that you did that. And that's even Stevens. It makes all the sense in the world. But for me, Okada beating Mox makes all the sense because Mox is a contracted New Japan Pro Wrestler. So Okada beating him makes sense. But not only that, Okada is a documented great and best friend of the Young Bucks. Somebody that Tony Khan has wanted to work for them. Somebody that the Young Bucks have wanted to work for them. Someone that has tons of history with Cody, Kenny Omega, Lance Archer, all sorts of guys that are over there. So even though, yes, Cody didn't beat Naito, Okada can come over to America and become an even bigger star, and it works for both AEW. It elevates their title and also elevates Okada simultaneously. And he is the perfect transition point between Mox and Okada to dropping that title to say, I don't know, maybe a Kenny Omega, maybe a Chris Jericho, who knows? But he is the bridge for the forbidden door between these two companies. New Japan Pro Wrestling wins. Okada and Mox wrestle for 45 minutes. And he kicks out of the fucking Death Rider.
Nice.
And Okada ends up beating Jon Moxley in a, I don't know, let's say 6 1/4 star match. Giving Jon Moxley the best match of his entire career. And it gives Mox renewed life in New Japan Pro Wrestling, a new reason to fight over there. It gives him something to, a goal to attain in AEW. Okada is risen to new levels, even though he doesn't have the IWGP title. And it helps both companies because he is the staple mate for both companies at this point. And I don't see him holding that title for very long. But yeah, for the time being, New Japan Pro Wrestling 6-5. They win the World Cup of Professional Wrestling. Confetti rains from the ceiling. All of the New Japan Pro Wrestling roster come out. Bad guys, good guys, Suzuki, Jay White, everybody. They hoist fucking Okada up in the air. And when the match is over and Okada's let down, Kenny Omega walks out. And he cuts the promo of a fucking lifetime on Okada. And they shake hands and agree to fight at some future AEW pay-per-view in Baltimore or some shit. I don't know.
Nice. I like it, man. Well,
what are your bookings there?
So I didn't really think too much about the post-match angle, but I did, having Okada just being the AEW champion, and then you got Cody as a double champion there, so just kind of, a little interesting there with the opposite company guys with the opposite company's championships and kind of what the future, just kind of leaving a question like, all right, well, who is Okada going to defend the AEW title with? And Okada, being on weekly Dynamites, and then Cody kind of going over to New Japan, doing a New Japan tour and having to defend the title there.
Well, I got to tell you, Jeremy, I didn't like doing this, this whole fantasy booking thing here, but now that we've got it all on paper, I think we both delivered pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the last half of our cards are exactly the same.
The last 4 matches are identical.
The exact same matches in the exact same order. It's crazy.
I gotta tell you, when I reached out to Jeremy, or I'm sorry, I reached out to Jeremy, James, and Rich for help because I was like struggling with this shit. But I was like, I reached out to Jeremy, and then I realized I didn't want to give my shit away, and then it was too hard. But when I reached out to Rich was like, man, fuck that. Break up Kenny and Hangman. Have Kenny win the IWGP title. Do Naito and Kenny.
Oh my gosh.
That's real. That actually happened like just a couple hours ago.
That's hilarious.
But man, I love our cards.
Yeah. The one regret from my card is not having a Shingo never title match.
My one regret is, I don't know, maybe not having Private Party on the card, but I mean, there was a lot of guys. I wanted to have Dustin on the card. Like, yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of talent in AEW. It's tough.
I left Suzuki off. I don't have Jurassic Express. I don't have MJF. Yeah, there's a lot of people that didn't get on the card.
Wanted to do a never 6-man title gauntlet, but I realized I wouldn't get enough guys on the card if I did that instead of the Rambo. Mm-hmm. And AEW just has so many more trios than New Japan does.
Yeah.
And there's no reason that they shouldn't have a 6-man tag team title over there at this point.
Right, yeah. There should definitely be a trios title at some point.
Man, booking this card makes me think like, my God, they should do this once a year.
Yeah.
It reminds me of early like Wrestle Kingdoms when like Noah, All Japan, and New Japan will work together for those Wrestle Kingdom cards, and I'm like, fuck, they should just do this shit. It's awesome.
Yeah. So that is our fancy booking. Tune into
when I was thinking of this, when I would think of like a card, and I would think, I don't know, this doesn't look so good on paper. I would think of like what the graphic would look like. And so when I was thinking of like Hiromu, I was like Hiromu, Sammy, Jungle. What's his name?
Jungle Boy.
Yeah, Jungle Boy and Robbie Eagles. I was like, that doesn't sound so good. But then I thought of like what the graphic would look like. Hiromu Takahashi, Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy, Robbie Eagles, and the 4 of them like do. I was like, oh shit, that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I could probably get hype. Like even Naito Cody, I was like, that doesn't sound so great, but like when they put the video package together and the entrances and the fucking and everything, yeah, it'd probably fucking rule.
Yeah. And I'm the booker, so I'm gonna tell them out there to go out there and work.
All right, man. So I think we both did pretty good. I think Amy and Floyd have a lot like to fucking live up to because unfortunately we've already laid our cards out. So yes, they might be able to quote unquote overcome it, but
they're gonna have a hard time.
Now that they can't copy it at this point. Right. You and I ended up with the same cards. Now they're if they do Okada Mox, they're gonna have to be like, oh well, I listened to the show. Right. They might as well not listen to the shit so that they can come up with something organic. I don't know.
Right. So yeah, we'll see. So listen to All Things Elite this Saturday right here on the network, so you can hear Floyd and Amy's cards, and then we'll put all 4 cards out for voting.
Listen, if you guys don't listen to All Things Elite, it's the best AEW podcast that's out there. Better than Everything Elite. Better than the AEW official podcast. Floyd puts his fucking heart and soul into this shit. So does Amy. So does everybody that's involved with it. So does why did I forget names? Tiffany. My God. Yeah, Tiffany's the fucking heart and soul of AEW, as you know, spoken by Cody and the rest of the company there. So yeah, definitely give that show a listen.
All right. Well, there's only one thing left, the recommended match of the week. So
hit the music.
Last week you had me watch Shibata versus Tanahashi, and it was incredible. Dude, it was just, first thing I wrote down was strong style. Just Shibata just heavy strikes and kind of forcing Tanahashi to fight his style. They had a brawl to a near 19 count on the outside, which was awesome.
Yes.
Shibata was totally pushing the pace this whole match, kind of forcing Tanahashi to wrestle his match. Then eventually Tanahashi came back with obviously the series of dragon screws. He used the dragon screws to kind of slow down Shibata. There was a great spot where Tanahashi gets Shibata down and goes for the high fly flow. The crowd is so hyped. I think, oh, this is it. He's going to hit the high fly flow. And Shibata gets his knees up at the last second. And the crowd gasps when Shibata gets his knees up and Tanahashi hits the high fly flow. Hits his knees. And then, there was an awesome spinning back fist from Shibata towards the end of the match. But then,
this match was just so incredible because the story of like the fact that like Shibata left New Japan Pro Wrestling in the dark days and Tanahashi raised it to its like, you know, to the prominent levels, and Shibata only came back when business was better. And the fact of the matter that like Shibata had ties to New Japan dating back to his father, who was on the inaugural New Japan Pro Wrestling show. So he grew up around New Japan Pro Wrestling. So like he's as New Japan as New Japan can get, but he left them in their most dire times to go fight and wrestle in other places, you know, at their worst dire time. And Tanahashi was the patron saint of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So like when Shibata came back, Tanahashi had no respect for him. And he wrote about it in his book prior to that match. So like there was real life heat between these two guys, and that bleeds through during the match. I mean, they had another match prior to this, but this is the most emotional match of their career. And the post match is just, I mean, Jeremy, you can tell them about it.
yeah, so then they had the big handshake, and the crowd pops huge as Tanahashi and Ibushi finally shake hands. It was a huge moment there, and Shibata finally earning, or Tanahashi, earned Shibata's respect, or Shibata earned Tanahashi's respect, and they shake hands, and just a big moment.
Yeah, it's a big moment in Shibata's career. I love this match. It was one of the runners-up for match of the year that year in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, but this match just fucking rules. If you haven't seen it, you got to go out of your way to watch it. What would you give it?
Like anywhere between like 4.5, 4.75.
I'd go 4 3/4 on that shit.
Yeah, it was great. All right.
Nice, man. So what is my recommended match of the week?
So the recommended match of the week this week is the phenomenal AJ Styles versus Machine Gun Carl Anderson from G1 Climax 24, August 4th, 2014.
Come on, that shit can't be good. You mean two guys from the OC from WWE facing each other? There's no way that shit's good.
Well, that's the match. You're going to have to watch it and see.
We will let you folks, ladies and gentlemen, know just how good this match is next week.
So, yeah, so definitely check that out. And it's just so great, just seeing both these guys, actually work and, be in their prime and actually try. So,
also, we have special guests that might be coming on the show, quote unquote, and some special things planned for you for the next few weeks. So, don't think that just because COVID-19 is happening and there's no live matches and shows taking place that we don't have things planned for you. We've got shit planned for the next few months. Believe that. Believe in the Shield.
I don't know about months, but definitely weeks. We got some stuff. We got some stuff planned, and hopefully next week everything works out with something really special that we have planned for you guys. And so that's going to wrap things up for this week. If you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure you connect with us on social media. On Twitter, the show is at KI Strong Style. I'm at Jeremy L. Donovan. You can also follow us at Social Suplex. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/Social Suplex. Join us in the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Wrestling Squared Circle. On Instagram, we are at Social Suplex. On Reddit, I am the Pro Black Guy, and Josh is Keeping It Strong Style. You can email me, Jeremy, at socialsuplex.com. Also, make sure you check out our Discord server. You just look up Social Suplex on Discord. You can find us there. You can check out all the other shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. On Sundays, we have One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. On Wednesdays, the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. Actually, well, they're still on hiatus right now, so hopefully those guys will be back soon. Every other Wednesday, we have our podcast dedicated to independent wrestling, Grown Men Watch This Shit, hosted by Jeremy Tate and Chris Bryan. On Fridays, we have Get in the Ring with Danny and Beast Mike. And on Saturdays, we have All Things Elite with Floyd Johnson Jr., Amy O, and Tiffany. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a rating and review, and we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Vote my card the best.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.